Chapter 3510, Reconstruction, Skyheart. Demon Master Chenhua looked over and asked, "Is the Purple Blood sect far from here?" "Not far. With my speed, I can arrive in half a day. However, my Purple Blood sect has already been mostly destroyed in that battle," Skyheart Sword Saint said. "The sect was destroyed. As long as its foundation is still intact, it can be rebuilt. Skyheart, take those disciples and go back to the Purple Blood sect. I'll destroy the 100 Ghost sect first and then come to the Purple Blood sect to look for you," Demon Master Chenhua said. "Yes." Skyheart Sword Saint nodded. "There are more than 1,000 disciples of the Purple Blood sect, and they were bullied in the Blood Origin domain. Although most of them have recovered their cultivation, it's hard to guarantee that nothing will happen on the way back from the Blood Origin domain. In my opinion, it'll trouble you to escort them along the way," Jian Wushuang said with a smile. "Of course," the white-haired elder said. "It was a piece of cake to escort them along the way. Of course, they would not refuse." Demon Master Chenhua nodded slightly and went straight to the 100 Ghost sect. Seeing the murderous look on Demon Master Chenhua's face, Jian Wushuang began to pray for the 100 Ghost sect in his heart. The 100 Ghost sect is considered an overlord in the second heaven, but unfortunately, they provoked Chenhua. "I'm afraid they are doomed," Jian Wushuang praised. One, he did not go to the 100 Ghost sect with Demon Master Chenhua because he had already guessed the outcome of the sect. The 100 Ghost sect would definitely not be able to withstand the wrath of Demon Master Chenhua. Jian Wushuang and Skyheart Sword Saint went to the Blood Origin domain first. When they arrived at the Blood Origin domain, the suppression methods of the disciples of the Purple Blood sect had been broken by the true pupil master, and their cultivation had recovered. Then, Jian Wushuang and Skyheart Sword Saint went back to the Purple Blood sect together. Then they returned to the Purple Blood sect. Of course, on the way, the principals masters of the 6 major forces also obediently escorted them along the way, not daring to take any of them with them. Not long after, they returned to the Purple Blood sect. When they arrived at the Purple Blood sect, they saw that it was almost a ruin with ruins everywhere. After all, more than 500 years had passed, and the sect had left many traces of time. It was obvious that there used to be a large number of buildings in the ruins, but now they had all been destroyed. Thanks, it's completely destroyed." Jian Wushuang sighed. During the battle, the experts of the Kong-In sect and the 100 Ghost sect joined hands and directly attacked the Purple Blood sect. They massacred wantonly and destroyed everything in the sect. "Apart from us who survived, there was almost nothing left," Skyheart Sword Saint said from the side. His voice was also a little low. "A sect will more or less experience setbacks and tribulations. It's already good enough to be reborn in blood. Besides, the Purple Blood sect hasn't been established for long. If you think about the Purple Star Demon sect, you might feel better," Jian Wushuang said. Skyheart Sword Saint was stunned. Yes, he was also an expert left behind by the Purple Star Demon sect. The destruction of the Purple Star Demon sect was even more devastating than the destruction of the Purple Blood sect. Just you wait. When Sunfire returns, with him leading you, it won't take long for the Purple Blood sect to completely recover and even reach a new level," Jian Wushuang said. "Okay." Skyheart Sword Saint nodded slightly, full of expectation. Not long after, Demon Master Chenhua returned. His successful return meant the fate of the 100 Ghost sect. Except for one principal's master who was not in the sect, the rest of the principal's masters were killed by Demon Master Chenhua, including many high-level experts of the 100 Ghost sect. More than half of them were killed by Demon Master Chenhua. It could be said that the 100 Ghost sect had followed in the footsteps of the Kong-In sect and was completely destroyed. After Demon Master Chenhua returned, he immediately saw Jian Wushuang and Skyheart Sword Saint. "Uncle Master," after the experts from the 6 major forces escorted the disciples of the Purple Blood sect back to the Purple Blood sect, they did not leave. Instead, they continued to wait here to see if you have any other orders, Skyheart Sword Saint said. "Tell them to go back and finish what they promised," Demon Master Chenhua said directly. "Yes." Skyheart Sword Saint immediately sent the message. Demon Master Chenhua stood in the void above the Purple Blood sect and looked down at the ruins, frowning slightly. "Chenhua, Are you sure you want to rebuild the Purple Blood sect instead of going to the Purple Star Demon sect? Jian Wushuang could not help asking. He knew the relationship between Demon Master Chenhua and the Purple Star Demon sect. If there was a chance for the Purple Star Demon sect to rise again, he would not let it go. However, after hearing Jian Wushuang's words, Demon Master Chenhua nodded slightly. It has been nearly 200 million years since the Purple Star Demon sect was destroyed. It's been too long. Most of the things left in the Purple Star Demon sect have already rotted. There's no need to go to the Purple Crystal Fog Sea and rebuild it under the name of the Purple Star Demon sect. It might be the best choice to continue the legacy in another place under the name of the Purple Blood sect. It's good that you think so. Jian Wushuang nodded. There were only 2 experts left by the Purple Star Demon sect, namely Demon Master Chenhua and Skyheart Sword Saint. Although they both had deep feelings for the Purple Star Demon sect, it had been too long. There was no need for them to insist on rebuilding it. As long as they kept the inheritance of the Purple Star Demon sect, it was the best choice to exist in the Divine Beginning realm under another name. Although the Purple Star Demon sect has not been rebuilt, I'm afraid it will take a lot of time and effort to rebuild the Purple Blood sect, Jian Wushuang said. That's for sure, Demon Master Chenhua said. In fact, as long as we have enough manpower and resources, it's easy to rebuild the things in the sect. The real difficulty is to create the trump card of the sect, which is the sect-protecting formation of the Purple Blood sect. Yes. The sect-protecting formation is a necessary skill and the last trump card of a sect. We must not be careless. Jian Wushuang nodded in agreement. The sect-protecting formation was the foundation and the last resort of a sect. As long as the sect-protecting formation was there, the sect would be absolutely safe. Even if the outside world was in a sea of flames, as long as the sect-protecting formation did not collapse, the people in it would not be a threat. But if the sect-protecting formation was broken, to the sect, that was the same as losing the last layer of protection. The sect would be completely exposed in front of the other party. Just like back in the demon realm, the Nine-Tailed Clan and the Blood Clan's sect-protecting formation were extremely powerful. If not for Marquis Duanyu breaking through the formation, even if they had the combat strength of the Demon Master Chenhua, they might not be able to break in, so naturally, they could not pose a real threat to the 2 clans. Chapter 3511. Human illusion level. The Purple Blood sect had been destroyed for more than 500 years. Although they had the capital to rebuild the sect-protecting formation was still very important. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I know that Star Palace has a special relationship with you, and Marquis Duanyu said that he was willing to listen to you. So, can you ask him to come to the Purple Blood sect and set up a protective array for us? Of course, the Purple Blood sect will not let him come for nothing. We will prepare a generous reward for him, or let me owe him a favor. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang could not help but smile and said, "Let me ask him for you." Jian Wushuang directly sent a message to Marquis Duanyu and soon got the answer. Marquis Duanyu has agreed to set up a clan-protecting formation for your Purple Blood sect. As for the conditions, he hasn't mentioned it yet, Jian Wushuang said. Thank you, Demon Master Chenhua thanked him. He knew that the reason why Marquis Duanyu agreed so readily was largely because it was Jian Wushuang who invited him. Marquis Duanyu said it would take him 2 to 3 months to reach the second heaven. Let's wait here, Jian Wushuang said. In the following time, the Purple Blood sect began to rebuild on a large scale. To rebuild the sect, of course, it would require a lot of resources, which was easy to do. Demon Master Chenhua had a lot of resources left by the Purple Star Demon sect, which could be used. Moreover, even if there were not so many resources, the 6 forces that controlled the blood origin domain nearby would definitely come to him. 3 months later, Marquis Duanyu arrived at the Purple Blood sect. My young friend, Mr. Chenhua. Marquis Duanyu bowed humbly. Marquis Duanyu, you already know the purpose of inviting you here. Now, the Purple Blood sect is under your feet. It has just been rebuilt. What do you think of the sect-protecting formation? Jian Wushuang asked directly. Please keep reading on MIB0XN0VIL, D0T, C0M. Marquis Duanyu looked down at the Purple Blood sect and nodded slightly. The general sect protecting formation is nothing more than to block strong enemies at the critical moment. Therefore, the sect protecting formation is mainly used for defense. However, there are some sect protecting formations that can be used for both offense and defense. However, the cost is even greater. Which one do you need, Mr. Chenhua? We will use a pure array formation to defend against strong enemies. As for attacking, we will only need to carry some offensive power on our shoulders, said Demon Master Chenhua. What about the level of the array formation? Marquis Duanyu said again. My young friend Heavenly Sword Marquis has told me before that the Purple Blood sect is not considered a very powerful sect now. However, because of you, Mr. Chenhua, it will definitely rise in the future. The level of this array formation should also be higher, right? Of course, it needs a high-level array formation. It would be best if it could block the array formation of a Saint Realm Master, said Demon Master Chenhua. Back when the Purple Star Demon sect was destroyed, the one who attacked the Purple Star Demon sect was a Saint Realm Master. The sect-protecting array formation of the Purple Star Demon sect back then was actually very powerful. However, in front of a Saint Realm Master, it was like paper. Having experienced it once, Demon Master Chenhua did not wish for the next Saint Realm Master to charge into the Purple Blood sect. Therefore, he naturally wanted a sect-protecting array formation that could block a Saint Realm Master. However, Marquis Duanyu smiled when he heard the words of the Demon Master. I do have a formation that can block a Saint Realm Master. Moreover, I can set it up with my attainments in the Tao of Formations. However, the prerequisite is that the resources required to set up such a formation will be much greater than what you can imagine, Mr. Chenhua. Oh! Demon Master Chenhua frowned. Let's not talk about other things first. Just the energy required to maintain the formation can only be absorbed through divine power. To maintain the normal operation of the formation, the divine power that is stored throughout the year is in the hundreds of millions, not to mention the other precious natural treasures. In addition, even if the formation is set up, it must be maintained by 2 or more experts who have reached the pinnacle of the 6th level of the void every million years. Otherwise, the formation might also collapse and disintegrate. These 2 conditions are just 2 of the requirements for setting up the formation. There are also many other requirements that are equally demanding, such as the time required to set up the formation. I wonder if Mr. Chenhua can accept them? Marquis Duanyu said playfully. Upon hearing this, Demon Master Chenhua was somewhat stunned. Jian Wushuang's expression also became strange. However, he could understand. After all, it was not easy to set up a magic array that could withstand a Saint Realm Master. Even if Marquis Duanyu had the ability to set up this magic array, he did not have the capital to do so. Although Demon Master Chenhua had a lot of resources on hand, he was afraid that he would not be able to meet the conditions mentioned by Marquis Duanyu. It seems that I have been too arrogant. I want to think about this array that can withstand the attacks of a Saint Realm Master for the time being. Then, what are the requirements for setting up a slightly lower level array? Demon Master Chenhua said. There are many levels of array formations. An array that can withstand the attacks of a Saint Realm Master or an ordinary ruler level expert is already an Earth Sage level array formation. This level of array formation is extremely impressive, so it is naturally quite difficult to set up. For example, the 5 elements array formation of the Nine-Tailed Clan is an Earth Sage level array formation. However, because the Nine-Tailed Clan does not have a ruler level expert supporting them, they are unable to unleash the power of an Earth Sage level array formation. That is why I was able to break it so easily. However, if a genuine holy level formation is successfully set up, there is absolutely no need to worry about it being broken in the Divine Beginning realm. However, with the resources of the cultivators in the Divine Beginning realm, it is almost impossible to set up an holy level formation. In that case, we can only take a step back and set up a human illusion level formation, Marquis Duanyu said. Human illusion level magic array? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. In the vast universe, a human illusion level magic array is only an entry-level magic array, but in the Divine Beginning realm, it is very high level. For example, the Blood Marten clan's clan protection magic array was also at the human illusion level, but it was only at the intermediate level among the human illusion level magic arrays. And I have a few complete peak stage human illusion level formations in my hands. Once these formations are set up, ordinary 6th level Void Realm experts would definitely not be able to break them. Even if there are 3 or 5 peak stage Void Realm experts, it would be very difficult to shake them. Unless there are 2 or more peak stage Void Realm experts, only then would they be able to break them. Marquis Duanyu said. Upon hearing this, the eyes of the demon master brightened. Even experts at the pinnacle of the Void 6 realms would need at least 2 to break through it. However, it must be known that other than him, there were only 2 experts at the pinnacle of the Void 6 realms in the Divine Beginning realm. In other words, once such a formation was set up, as long as the Saint Realm Master did not personally take action, no one would be able to break it. Chapter 35:12. Unshakable. Marquis Duanyu, what is the price of setting up a formation at the peak of the human illusion level? Jian Wushuang asked. Although the formation at the peak of the human illusion level is far inferior to that at the Earth Saint Realm, the price of setting it up is still very high. However, it is still acceptable for an expert at the pinnacle of the 6 realms of the void, Marquis Duanyu said. If that's the case, Marquis Duanyu, please help us set up the magic formation at the peak of the human illusion level. You can tell me the cost and resources you need. After the magic formation is set up, I'll owe you a favor, Marquis Duanyu said. It's difficult to set up the magic formation at the peak of the human illusion level, but if I can exchange it for the favor of an expert at the pinnacle of the 6 realms of the void, you'll be very lucky, Marquis Duanyu said. Let's not waste time, Marquis Duanyu. Start to set up the formation, Jian Wushuang said. Marquis Duanyu nodded and then discussed with Demon Master Chenhua how to set up the formation. After everything was ready, Marquis Duanyu began to set up the formation. It was not easy to set up a magic formation at the peak of the human illusion level. Not only did it require a lot of resources, but it also took a lot of time. During this time, Jian Wushuang stayed in the Purple Blood sect and watched Marquis Duanyu set up the magic array. Although he did not know much about the Tao of Magic Array, it was because of this that he did not want to miss this opportunity. After all, Marquis Duanyu could be said to have the highest attainments in the Tao of Magic Array in the Divine Beginning realm. Watching him set up the magic array with his own hands could also help Jian Wushuang understand more about the Tao of Magic Array. In the future, whether he was in the Divine Beginning realm or in the universe battlefield, he would certainly have to deal with some special arrays. Thanks for your understanding of array formation, it would be more or less useful. Time passed, and in a flash, 3 years had passed. In these 3 years, the Purple Blood sect had almost been rebuilt. The original ruins had now become a pure land. Birds sang and flowers were fragrant, and palaces and pavilions were everywhere. The entire sect looked magnificent. It was no longer as tragic as before. Most importantly, there was a layer of light membrane that could not be seen by the naked eye in the void around the Purple Blood sect. This light membrane was the pinnacle human illusion grade array that Marquis Duanyu had spent 3 years to set up. Mr. Chenhua, this array has already been set up and it has already formed a cycle. From now on, as long as your Purple Blood sect infuses a batch of divine power into it every once in a while to provide the energy for the array to operate normally, this array can continue forever. Furthermore, even if an expert were to forcefully break this array in the future, as long as the foundation of the array is not uprooted, you can casually hire 1 or 2 array masters of the 9th stage or above to repair the array. Yes. Demon Master Chenhua nodded slightly and said gratefully, "Thank you, Marquis Duanyu, for the past 3 years." It's only been 3 years. I'm more than happy to be able to exchange for your favor, Marquis Duanyu said with a smile. Marquis Duanyu. At this moment, Jian Wushuang opened his mouth and said, "The power of the magic formation in front of me is really as amazing as you said. But why does it look like that to me?" That's because the power of this magic array hasn't really erupted. Normally, the magic array only keeps simple operation so it doesn't consume too much energy. However, once the magic array is attacked, the power of the magic array will be revealed. Marquis Duanyu smiled. If you don't believe me, you can try the power of this magic array yourself. Please keep reading on MYB0XN0VIL, D0T, C0M. Then I won't be polite. Jian Wushuang did not refuse. His palm had already grabbed the Blood Mountain sword behind him. One swish. The Blood Mountain sword was unsheathed, and a shocking sword essence instantly swept out in the surrounding void. Then, Jian Wushuang's body flashed and appeared around the magic formation. He activated his life-divine power and heaven-cleaving skill at this moment. A blood-red sword light, like a bolt of blood-red lightning, suddenly slashed out with extreme violence. It was the peerless sword manual, Shixiang. The power of this extremely powerful sword, especially when Jian Wushuang used his full strength, had reached the peak of the fifth void realm. However, when the sword directly hit the light film, it was like a drop of water falling into the sea. The light film did not cause much waves, and the whole purple blood sect was still very calm. However, the power of Jian Wushuang's sword had been completely exhausted. Amazing! Jian Wushuang could not help but exclaim, "My sword attack is even more powerful than the full-strength attack of an ordinary expert of the fifth void realm." However, it did not shake the magic formation at all. After all, I attacked from the inside of the magic formation. Jian Wushuang sighed in his heart. Attacking from the outside of the magic formation and attacking from the inside of the magic formation were two completely different things. Under normal circumstances, a magic array had the strongest defense against the outside world, but its internal defense was much weaker. Because of this, in the divine beginning realm, if a force wanted to contribute to another force, they had to attack from the inside and cooperate with the outside. This way, it would be easier to break the protective magic array of the other party. However, the magic array set up by Marquis Duanyu in the Purple Blood Sect had such a strong internal defense that Jian Wushuang could not even move it with his full strength. However, the defensive energy outside the magic array was very strong. With this magic array, the Purple Blood Sect will be safe as long as the Saint Realm Master doesn't personally take action, Jian Wushuang said. Logically speaking, the Purple Blood Sect was inherited by the Purple Star Demon Sect, and the one who destroyed the Purple Star Demon Sect was the Saint Realm Master, Demon Master Chenhua said in a low voice. Although the magic array had been set up, Demon Master Chenhua was still a little worried. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang smiled and said, "Chenhua, you don't have to worry. So what if the Flame Saint Realm knows that the Purple Blood Sect was inherited by the Purple Star Demon Sect? After all, the Purple Blood Sect has you. It's no longer the Purple Star Demon Sect. It can't resist the Flame Saint Realm at all. Moreover, even if the Purple Blood Sect can't resist it, it's almost impossible for the Flame Saint Master to kill you. As long as you don't die, you can crazily take revenge on the Flame Saint Realm and kill their experts. That would be a disaster for the Flame Saint Realm. The Flame Saint Realm definitely knows this as well. Hence, before they have absolute confidence in killing you, the Flame Saint Realm wouldn't dare to attack the Purple Blood Sect. This is because they aren't willing to pay the price for you. That's true, but this is also because I'm here. What if one day, I'm no longer here? Demon Master Chenhua frowned. Chapter 35:13. Outside the world, what if one day Demon Master Chenhua was no longer around? The Flame Saint Realm would not hesitate to attack the Purple Blood Sect and destroy it, just like how it had destroyed the Purple Star Demon Sect. No one can say for sure what will happen in the future. At least now that you are here, the Flame Saint Realm won't dare to act recklessly, Jian Wushuang said. Well, that's the only way to think about it. Demon Master Chenhua nodded slightly, then he said seriously, Heavenly Sword Marquis, the Purple Blood Sect has just been rebuilt, and there's a lot of work to be done. Right now, the Purple Blood Sect needs me very much. I can't leave here in a short time, so I can't continue to be your guard. I expected that. Jian Wushuang was not surprised. He was very clear about the current situation of the Purple Blood Sect. In the current Purple Blood Sect, other than Demon Master Chenhua, only Skyheart Sword Saint, an invincible saint, could be considered an expert. The other disciples were mostly weak, so at this moment, Demon Master Chenhua definitely could not leave this place. Not only now, but also for a long time in the future. At least until the purple blood sect's strength had grown to a certain level and they were able to protect themselves, he would not leave. Naturally, he would not be able to stay by his side anymore. Although I can't continue to stay by your side and be your guard, if you encounter any trouble in the future, you can still send me a message at any time. I'll be there immediately, Demon Master said. In that case, our previous agreement still stands, Jian Wushuang said. Of course it does. Demon Master Chenhua also nodded. Well, you can lead the purple blood sect to grow up first. As for me, Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. He did not know where he should go next. Back to the temporal temple? There was nothing for him to do in the temporal temple at the moment, so it did not matter whether he went back or not. If he continued to wander alone in the divine beginning realm, there were few places in the divine beginning realm that could have a great effect on him. Even if he wanted to improve his strength, he had to find a good place first. As if he had read Jian Wushuang's mind, Mark Luan Yu suddenly said, "My young friend, if you don't have a place to go for the time being, why don't you come with me to the Star Palace?" To the Star Palace? Jian Wushuang's eyes immediately lit up. Yes, when he first came into contact with the Star Palace in the demon realm, he had been curious about it. Especially after he found out that the founder of the Star Palace was Taoist Black God and had an inseparable relationship with the seven-star mysterious sect, he looked forward to the Star Palace even more. He had wanted to go to the Star Palace before, but now he was worried that he had nowhere to go. It was undoubtedly the best choice to go to the Star Palace at this time. Marquis Duanyu, I do want to visit the Star Palace now, but is it convenient? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, of course. Marquis Duanyu smiled and said, if you want, I can take you to the Star Palace now. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. In that case, let's go now, Marquis Duanyu said. Goodbye, Chenhua, Jian Wushuang said to Demon Master Chenhua and left with Marquis Duanyu. After leaving the Purple Blood Sect, Marquis Duanyu led Jian Wushuang toward Star Palace. Both of them traveled very fast, especially Jian Wushuang. Under the guidance of Marquis Duanyu, he teleported and spent 2 days in a near-chaotic void. Jian Wushuang stood in the chaotic void and looked around with a frown. After a long while, he spoke again. Mark Duanyu, if I'm not wrong, this should be the edge of the divine beginning realm, right? Yes. Marquis Duanyu nodded. As expected. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath. He knew more about the divine beginning realm than before. He was very clear that in the divine beginning realm, other than some extremely strange places, only the edge of the divine beginning realm was chaotic. Since Marquis Duanyu had brought him here, Jian Wushuang had roughly guessed the location of the Star Palace. It seems that my previous guess was right. The Star Palace is not in the divine beginning realm, but outside the realm. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly. Outside the realm, outside the divine beginning realm, was naturally the vast universe battlefield. Jian Wushuang had guessed it from the conversation between Marquis Duanyu and Axe One Master. Axe One Master had said that the 3 principals masters from Star Palace were too sensitive and could not wander around in the divine beginning realm. In addition, Marquis Duanyu, Axe One Master, and Star Saint Master were all powerful experts of the 6 void realms, but they were not famous in the divine beginning realm. Obviously, they had never been in the divine beginning realm. Instead, they had been staying in the universe battlefield. Since that was the case, the Star Palace was most likely located in the universe battlefield. Only by setting their headquarters in the universe battlefield could the 3 great saint realms do nothing to the Star Palace. After all, the 3 great saint realm masters of the 3 great saint realms were only supreme in the divine beginning realm. However, outside the divine beginning realm, without the support of the will of the heavenly Tao, any ruler-level expert could have easily killed all 3 of them. The edge of the divine beginning realm is just separated from the universe battlefield by a piece of primal chaos void. As long as we pass through this piece of primal chaos void, we can truly enter the universe battlefield. That place is the heaven of the strong, said Marquis Duanyu. Universe battlefield. Jian Wushuang could not help but clench his hands. He vaguely remembered that many years ago in the Endless Territories, he had seen Shui Bai's consciousness incarnation in the Blood North secret area. From Shui Bai's words, It was the first time he knew about the existence of the universe battlefield. Only then did he understand how vast and vast this world was. The divine beginning realm was just a part of the universe. From that time on, he had been full of yearning for the universe battlefield. Unfortunately, his strength had not been enough before, so he was not qualified to go to the universe battlefield. But now, his strength should be barely enough. My young friend, follow me. Let's go through the chaotic void first, Marquis Duanyu said. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and followed Marquis Duanyu slowly. The chaotic void was very vast. Because they were in the chaotic void, there might be some dangers. Both Marquis Duanyu and Jian Wushuang were slow, so Jian Wushuang did not dare to use teleportation again. The journey was very peaceful. The two of them flew in the chaotic void for 5 days and finally passed through it. After passing through the chaotic void, Jian Wushuang stepped into the universe battlefield. Chapter 35:14 World Star, This is the Vast Universe? Jian Wushuang stood in the universe battlefield and looked up. What he saw was a vast dark void, which was boundless and infinite. In the center of the dark void, he could vaguely see some weak lights, which were faintly discernible like stars. Standing here, Jian Wushuang could clearly sense the great pressure coming from the surrounding void. This pressure originated from the universe origin. Previously, because Jian Wushuang had been staying in the divine beginning realm, with the obstruction of the divine beginning realm, he could not sense the pressure of the universe origin. But now that he was out of the divine beginning realm, he could clearly sense the pressure. This pressure is too strong. With such a strong pressure, ordinary people won't be able to survive in the universe, Jian Wushuang could not help saying. In the vast universe, the pressure from the universe origin is indeed very strong. Moreover, we are still at the edge of the universe, so the pressure from the universe origin is not too strong. However, if you want to go to the core of the universe in the future, the pressure from the universe origin will be even stronger, Marquis Duanyu said. It's because the universe origin is so powerful that ordinary cultivators can't move around in the universe. Those who can resist the pressure and move around in the universe are usually experts above the principal's master realm. Of course, you're only a saint, but you're stronger than most principal's masters. You can also move around in the universe. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. He also felt the pressure of the universe origin, which was extremely strong, but it did not affect his ability to walk in the universe. My young friend, turn around and look behind you, Marquis Duanyu suddenly said. Jian Wushuang turned around and immediately a huge object appeared in front of him. It was a huge and magnificent star. It was oval in shape and floated in the universe. The star was surrounded by a hazy, chaotic airflow. Jian Wushuang stood in front of the star. Although he was some distance away from the star, he could still feel the vastness of the star. Is this the divine beginning realm? Jian Wushuang's eyes widened. Please keep reading on MIB0XN0VIL, D0T, C0M. Yes, it's the divine beginning realm. Marquis Duanyu smiled. You've been in the divine beginning realm before, so you can't see its complete appearance. But now that you're out of the divine beginning realm and in the universe, you can see its original appearance clearly. In addition, although the divine beginning realm seems to be in front of you now, in fact, you're already very far away from it. Jian Wushuang could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. I didn't expect that the divine beginning realm would look like this, like an ordinary star. It's a star, but it's a world star that contains endless vitality and can give birth to living beings, Marquis Duanyu said. A world star. Jian Wushuang was puzzled. Marquis Duanyu immediately explained, the vast universe is vast and boundless. In this vast universe, there are countless kinds of stars. These stars are divided into two types. One is a world star, which contains boundless life force and is extremely large. It can give birth to living beings and cultivators. The other type is the ordinary Earth star, which has no life force. Most of these Earth stars only have a piece of land and nothing else. Many times, these Earth stars are occupied by some forces in the universe and then transformed into strongholds and bases. The world star and the Earth star are very common in the universe. In addition, because of their size and their cultivation environment, the world stars in the universe are divided into several levels. World stars are divided into levels? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. World stars are divided into level 1, level 2, and level 3. Among them, level 3 world stars are the most common. For example, the Divine Beginning Realm is an ordinary level 3 world star. It doesn't give birth to many experts. Since the birth of the Divine Beginning Realm, there have only been a few ruler-level experts. Second-grade world stars have much greater potential than third-grade world stars. Naturally, they give birth to more experts. Let's compare the Divine Beginning Realm. If first-grade and second-grade world stars were born at the same time as the Divine Beginning Realm, then this second-grade world star has already given birth to more than 20 rulers, or even more. More than 20 rulers? Jian Wushuang was shocked. They were born at the same time, but there were so many more masters in a second-grade world star than in a third-grade world star? It was obvious that the cultivation environment in a second-grade world star was much stronger than a third-grade world star. What about a first-grade world star? Jian Wushuang asked again. A first-grade world star is even more amazing. It is said that in the vast universe, as long as a first-grade world star is born for a period of time, the experts in it can easily rule a great territory in the universe battlefield and become an overlord. Even in the deepest part of the universe, no one dares to underestimate the power of a first-grade world star, Marquis Duanyu said. Jian Wushuang sighed in his heart. A second-class world star was much stronger than the Divine Beginning Realm, and a first-class world star with even greater potential was naturally even more terrifying. In addition, there is a legend in the universe that there is an eternal world star in the deepest part of the universe, which is above the first-class world star. The eternal world star is the true ruler of the universe. Marquis Duanyu added, "There is an eternal world star?" Jian Wushuang was stunned. He had little knowledge of the universe before, but today he had an eye-opening experience. For the current him, even if the Divine Beginning Realm was relatively vast, he still could not stand at the top of the Divine Beginning Realm. The second-grade and first-grade world stars that were stronger than the Divine Beginning Realm, there were even the legendary Eternal World Stars, which were too far away for him now. Marquis Duanyu, are there any world stars above the second class near the Divine Beginning Realm? Jian Wushuang suddenly asked. Well, Marquis Duanyu's expression changed. He said, the Divine Beginning Realm is located in a relatively remote and marginal part of the universe. Because it's far away from the universe, the level of the world stars in the universe are very low. Most of them are third-class world stars. For example, the dozens of world stars that are known near the Divine Beginning Realm are only third-class world stars. Some of them have been born for a long time, some of them have been born for a short time, and they have given birth to many experts. Chapter 35:15, Chaos Cycle. If we are talking about a second-class world star, I have heard of one. However, it is too far away from us. It would take tens of thousands of years to get to the Divine Beginning Realm from there, Marquis Duanyu said. Jian Wushuang was shocked. It would take tens of thousands of years to get there, and it was at least the speed of an expert above the Principal's Master Realm. Jian Wushuang could not help but sigh at the vastness of the universe. By the way, Marquis Duanyu, you said that among these third-grade world stars, there is only a difference in the length of their birth. Is there a big difference between the length of their birth and the length of their birth? Jian Wushuang asked. Of course there is a difference, and the difference is huge, Marquis Duanyu said. My dear Heavenly Marquis, first of all, you should know that the world stars do not exist eternally. They are like a person's lifespan. After they are born, they will slowly grow and become stronger. However, when a world star is at its peak, it will turn from prosperity to decline and eventually destroy. Destroyed? Jian Wushuang widened his eyes. You mean, the Divine Beginning Realm will be destroyed in the future? Of course, not to mention the Divine Beginning Realm, which is a third-grade world star, even a second-grade or first-grade world star will be destroyed. However, the lifespan of a second-grade or first-grade world star is far longer than that of a third-grade world star, Marquis Duanyu said. In the vast universe, there is a definition of time. It is the process of a third-grade sector star being born and destroyed. It is known as a chaos cycle. This definition of time may seem very simple, but a chaos cycle is an incredibly long period of time. For example, the divine beginning realm has probably been in existence for close to 10 billion years now. However, in reality, if one were to look at age compared to the other third-grade sector stars, the divine beginning realm is still very young. It is still very far away from destruction. However, because the divine beginning realm is still very young, there are not many experts. As time passes, the divine beginning realm will continue to grow, and more experts will be born. At the end of the divine beginning realm's lifespan, there will be at least a dozen rulers in the divine beginning realm. A third-grade world star can give birth to more than a dozen rulers at the end of its growth? According to you, there are many rulers in this universe, right? Jian Wushuang exclaimed. He had just heard from Marquis Duanyu that there were dozens of third-grade world stars around the divine beginning realm. Although these dozens of world stars had not been nurtured to the end, even when they were in their prime, they could still give birth to many rulers. When these sector stars were added up, the number of rulers would be very exaggerated. It's like this. In the vast universe, principles masters are everywhere. As for ruler-level great beings, if they are in the territory near the divine beginning realm, they are actually quite rare. Don't look at how there are many sector stars nearby and how many ruler-level great beings have been born. However, in reality, many of these ruler-level great beings have died while adventuring in the universe battlefield. Most of the rulers are unwilling to live in this marginal region. Therefore, after becoming rulers, they directly went into the depths of the universe. There are actually not many who are truly willing to stay in this marginal region. In fact, there are only about 30 known master-level experts in the territory of the divine beginning realm. More master-level experts have already gone to the depths of the universe. However, it seems that none of the master-level experts born in the divine beginning realm have gone to the depths of the universe. Instead, they have all stayed, Marquis Duanyu said. Oh. Jian Wushuang's expression changed. That's strange. Most of the ruler-level experts born in other world stars choose to travel to the depths of the universe, but why aren't there any ruler-level experts from the divine beginning realm? I don't know. Maybe there are some special reasons, Marquis Duanyu said. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly. After hearing Marquis Duanyu's words, Jian Wushuang indeed felt that it was a little strange. My little friend, I've told you about the world star. Now follow me to the star palace, Marquis Duanyu said. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. Then Jian Wushuang followed Marquis Duanyu to the star palace. The two of them were moving rapidly in the dark void of the universe. Although they were constantly suppressed by the universe origin, it did not affect their speed much. However, they were in the universe void after all. Jian Wushuang did not dare to use teleportation. There were countless dangers in the vast universe. If they teleported in the void of the universe, it was very likely that they would fall into these dangers and be doomed. Even if they were lucky enough not to fall into these dangerous places, however, if they did not grasp it well and teleported to an unfamiliar void, they would also be lost and waste more time. A month passed by in the blink of an eye. Marquis Duanyu, we've been traveling in the void for a month, but we haven't reached the star palace yet? Jian Wushuang asked with a strange expression. My dear heavenly sword Marquis, this is not the divine beginning realm. In the vast universe, 100 years or 1,000 years is nothing. After all, the universe is too big. Even if we set off from the divine beginning realm at the speed of a principal's master, it will take us more than 100 years to get there. Although our star palace is not too far from the divine beginning realm, it would take at least several decades to travel at the speed of a principal's master, Marquis Duanyu said with a smile. Several decades? Jian Wushuang was stunned. Marquis Duanyu smiled and said, But don't worry. Our star palace is a well-known force in this territory, especially because it has an extraordinary relationship with the divine beginning realm. Therefore, the star palace has set up a hidden universe passage on an uninhabited Earth star on the way. Through this universe passage, we can directly reach the vicinity of the Star Palace. However, we are still several days away from the location of the Earth Star. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang shrugged and continued to sneak. After another 6 days, Marquis Duanyu finally came to an Earth Star with Jian Wushuang. Earth Star was different from World Star. It was a piece of land floating in the universe. Moreover, the land was not big and it was lifeless. Marquis Duanyu came to the center of the Earth Star and stopped in front of a concave stone wall. Jian Wushuang also came here and looked at the stone wall in front of him. On the stone wall, there was a special pattern made of secret patterns. Chapter 35:16. Inside the Star Palace, Mark Duanyu stood under the special pattern and waved his hand, throwing a token toward the special pattern. When the token was about to touch the pattern seemed to come alive, swallowing the token in one gulp. After a while, it was spat out again. At the same time, a layer of gray light slowly emerged from the special pattern, and an ancient aura spread out from it. Buzz buzz buzz. The stone wall vibrated, and the pattern began to evolve. In just a moment, a dark and boundless passage appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. This is the universe passage? Jian Wushuang looked at the passage in front of him in surprise. He felt that the universe passage was much more stable than the spatial passages he had seen in the divine beginning realm. In the depths of the universe passage, there was an aura that frightened Jian Wushuang. The principle of the universe passage is actually the same as the space passages in the divine beginning realm. It's just that the vast universe space is much more stable than the divine beginning realm. The pressure of the universe origin is also very strong. To set up a universe passage in the vast universe is countless times more difficult than setting up a space passage in the divine beginning realm. For example, my Star Palace once spent a lot of money to set up this universe passage. The most important thing is that the distance between the Star Palace and the Earth Star is not too far. It takes a principal's master dozens of years to reach the Star Palace, so the universe passage can be set up. However, if the distance is too far, for example, the universe passage from one world star to another, it will be very difficult to set up. Even if the entire Star Palace works hard, it will be very difficult to set up such a universe passage, Marquis Duanyu said. Is that so? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. The universe passage has been opened. My dear Heavenly Sword Marquis, please follow me. After saying that, Marquis Duanyu directly entered the universe passage. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate and immediately followed him. Through the universe passage, Jian Wushuang and Marquis Duanyu came to the vicinity of Star Palace. My dear Heavenly Sword look, that's Star Palace. Marquis Duanyu pointed to a floating land in front of them. This floating land was a small Earth star. However, this Earth star had been occupied by the Star Palace a long time ago, and it had been modified by the Star Palace. It indeed looked different from an ordinary Earth star. In the vast universe, many forces will occupy some Earth stars as their nest, and our Star Palace is no exception. Marquis Duanyu smiled and then led Jian Wushuang directly to the Earth star where the Star Palace was located. This Earth star was very small, and its area was not as large as a small territory in the divine beginning realm. However, it was more than enough to be the layers of a force. In the dark void around the Earth star, Jian Wushuang could vaguely see some faint golden thunderbolts flashing from time to time. Any of these faint golden thunderbolts gave Jian Wushuang a feeling of destruction. There is a special formation around the Earth star. It seems that the level of this formation is extraordinary. It should have reached the level of the Earth Saint realm, right? Jian Wushuang asked. You're right. After all, the Earth star is the nest of the Star Palace. The sect-protecting formation cannot be careless. It is indeed an Earth Saint realm formation, and it is not weak among the Earth Saint realm formations. Usually, the formation maintains normal operation. Even if 3 or 5 masters come at once, the formation can easily resist them. In a life-or-death battle, Star Palace will activate the formation regardless of the consequences. At that time, the formation will not only be able to resist the attacks of several masters, but it will also be able to kill the masters. Marquis Duanyu said, Kill the masters? So powerful? Jian Wushuang was secretly shocked. My young friend, what I just said is actually a secret in Star Palace. Only the experts at the highest level of Star Palace are qualified to know about it. However, your relationship with Star Palace is quite delicate, so it's okay to know about it. However, you must not tell others about it. After all, it's a killer move of Star Palace. If the enemy forces know about it, it will have a big impact, Marquis Duanyu said. Understood. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Let's go in first. With Marquis Duanyu's guidance, Jian Wushuang entered the Star Palace without any obstacles. There were also many buildings in the Star Palace, which were very strange in shape and were very different from the Divine Beginning realm. As they flew through the Star Palace, Jian Wushuang could also sense the obscure aura coming from the surrounding buildings. Along the way, they also met other cultivators. Some of them even came up to greet them. Marquis Duanyu, you're finally back. I've been waiting for you here for a long time. A burly middle-aged man with a height of more than 2 meters came up to Marquis Duanyu. Oh, heavy master? Marquis Duanyu's expression changed, and then he said with a smile, You're here for your brother, right? Yes, my brother has been trapped there for some time, and his situation is getting more and more dangerous. If I don't find a way to break the formation and save him, my life will be in danger at any time, Heavy Master said anxiously. I know, don't worry. I'll go with you after I've settled the young friend behind me, Marquis Duanyu said. The young man behind you. The Heavy Master immediately looked at Jian Wushuang. However, when he saw Jian Wushuang, his expression immediately became strange. Is he a saint? A saint actually came to the universe battlefield? Heavy Master, although the young man behind me is only a saint, his status is extraordinary. In terms of strength, I'm afraid you're not his match, Marquis Duanyu said. I'm not his match? Marquis Duanyu, are you kidding? Heavy Master laughed. This was normal. Heavy Master was a principal's master at the peak of the Void Fourth Realm and had cultivated a special secret skill. Even if he met an expert of the Void Fifth Realm, he could still fight. But Jian Wushuang was obviously just an immortal saint. The Heavy Master had never been to the Divine Beginning realm and had never heard of Heavenly Sword Marquis name. Naturally, he subconsciously felt that a saint was not that strong. You'll know whether it's a joke or not in the future. But now, if you want me to hurry up and save your brother, you'd better step aside, Marquis Duanyu said. Of course, of course. The Heavy Master laughed dryly and immediately stepped aside. Jian Wushuang looked at the Heavy Master with interest and then continued to follow Marquis Duanyu. Chapter 35:17, number 400? After Jian Wushuang and Mark Duanyu left, the heavy master curled his lips and muttered, "An immortal saint actually said that he was stronger than me? What a joke." But that person just now was clearly an immortal saint, yet he could walk in the universe and was treated so seriously by Marquis Duanyu. It seems that his identity is indeed extraordinary. Who cares? It has nothing to do with me. I'd better wait for Marquis Duanyu to come out and save my brother. The heavy master muttered a few words and quietly waited. Not only the heavy master, but many principals masters in the Star Palace noticed Jian Wushuang's existence when Marquis Duanyu led Jian Wushuang through the void of the Star Palace. Immortal saint? An immortal saint actually came to our Star Palace? And he was led by Marquis Duanyu himself? Interesting. This immortal saint seems to have an extraordinary identity. The principals masters in Star Palace had begun to communicate in secret, and they also began to guess Jian Wushuang's identity. However, it was more common for the principals masters in Star Palace to be unaware of what had happened in the divine beginning realm over the years, and no one had heard of Jian Wushuang. If only one of them knew, they would not be so surprised if they knew of Jian Wushuang's achievements in the divine beginning realm. At the same time, Jian Wushuang was also asking Mark Duanyu about some things in Star Palace. Marquis Duanyu, I'm very curious. How many principals masters are there in Star Palace now? Jian Wushuang asked. Many, Marquis Duanyu said directly. I can tell you that there are more than 60 principals masters in Star Palace. However, most of the principals masters in Star Palace are adventuring in the universe battlefield. If all the principals masters are added up, there are more than 400 principals masters in Star Palace. 400 principals masters? Jian Wushuang gasped. In the divine beginning realm, principals masters were definitely the top experts. Many top forces in the divine beginning realm did not have many principals masters. The Nine-Tailed Clan and the Blood Clan, which Jian Wushuang knew the best, only had 20 to 30 principals masters. In the divine beginning realm, 20 to 30 principals masters was already very scary. But now, in Star Palace, Marquis Duanyu told him that there were more than 400 principals masters in Star Palace? More than 400 principals masters? What did that mean? If it was in the divine beginning realm, it would be scary. Marquis Duanyu naturally saw Jian Wushuang's shock. He immediately smiled and said, "My young friend, you don't have to be too surprised. I told you before that the divine beginning realm is only a world star, and it's only a third-class world star. Compared to the entire vast universe, it's negligible. As for the principals masters, they are indeed considered top experts in the divine beginning realm. However, in the vast universe, they are only qualified to roam the universe. In the universe, principals masters are indeed too mediocre, and the number of them is frightening. For example, in the territory near divine beginning realm, there are dozens of sector stars. Some of them have been born for a very long time, and the number of principals masters they have nurtured is very shocking. There are also many principals masters. The sector stars that have nurtured them have already reached the end point. The sector stars have all collapsed, but as principals masters, they can still survive. Among these principals masters that have survived, only a small number choose to go to the depths of the universe to try their luck, and most of them stay here. Over time, the number of principals masters in this territory has reached an astonishing number. After all, Star Palace is a force with a ruler-level expert overseeing it. It has a certain reputation in the surrounding territories. Naturally, its subordinates can recruit a group of principals masters to come and rely on it. It can be said that Star Palace can have more than 400 principals masters. This is very normal, Marquis Duanyu explained. Although Jian Wushuang was still shocked by Marquis Duanyu's words, he could still accept it. Indeed, the universe could not be compared to the divine beginning realm. There were some things that could not exist in the divine beginning realm, but in the universe, they could exist in a very reasonable way. Marquis Duanyu, you just said that the principals masters of Star Palace were recruited, which means that most of the principals masters of Star Palace are not from the divine beginning realm? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, Although Star Palace was founded on the experts of the Divine Beginning Realm, most of the principal's masters in Star Palace have nothing to do with the Divine Beginning Realm. In fact, my hometown is not the Divine Beginning Realm, Marquis Duanyu said. Oh, what is your hometown, Marquis Duanyu? Jian Wushuang asked. My hometown is also from a third-grade world star, but it doesn't belong to this territory and is quite far away from here. I came to this territory because I know there are some great opportunities in this territory, so I came here to try my luck. Later, I met Lord Palace Master in this territory. Lord Palace Master saw that I had a very high attainment in array formation, so he made me some conditions that I couldn't refuse. He asked me to join Star Palace, and I agreed. After that, I stayed in Star Palace, Marquis Duanyu said. Is that so? Jian Wushuang understood. Speaking of Lord Palace Master, didn't Acts 1 Master say that Lord Palace Master had gone into closed-door cultivation? Who are you taking me to see now? Haha, it's true that the Palace Master is in closed-door cultivation, and he doesn't have time to see you now. But besides the Palace Master, there's another Master in Star Palace who wants to see you, Marquis Duanyu said with a smile. Another Master? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Someone you can address as a master, Marquis Duanyu, could it be another ruler? Well, you'll know when you see him. Marquis Duanyu smiled but did not say it. Under the guidance of Marquis Duanyu, Jian Wushuang soon arrived in front of an exquisite black tower. The black tower was 7 stories high. Marquis Duanyu led Jian Wushuang to the top floor of the tower. At the entrance of the top floor, Marquis Duanyu stopped. My young friend, the Lord is here. You can go in. I have to help the heavy master save his brother. I want to accompany you. After seeing the Lord, you can send a message to the Acts 1 Master. He will arrange a place for you in the Star Palace, Marquis Duanyu said. In that case, thank you, Marquis Duanyu, Jian Wushuang said gratefully. Chapter 35:18 Desolation Emperor. After Marquis Duanyu left, Jian Wushuang did not hesitate to enter the top floor of the tower from the entrance in front of him. When he entered the top floor of the tower, he thought it should be like an ordinary tower, but in fact, the space on the top floor was different. Jian Wushuang had already arrived at a unique space, and what he saw was a dense forest. The trees in the forest were so tall that they reached the clouds. Their trunks were extremely huge, but at first glance, they were not much different from ordinary divine trees except for their sturdiness. After Jian Wushuang entered the forest, he immediately heard the sound of cutting wood coming from the depths of the forest. Obviously, someone was cutting trees in the depths of the forest. Following the sound, Jian Wushuang also walked into the depths of the forest. Soon, he saw a woodcutter wearing a simple black robe. The woodcutter wore a bamboo hat and held an ordinary axe in his hand. He chopped the branches of the big tree in front of him again and again. The exposed dark muscles were covered with sweat. Obviously, the woodcutter had been busy for a long time. Is this the Lord that Marquis Duanyu mentioned? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. In his eyes, the man in front of him was indeed no different from an ordinary woodcutter, and he did not emit any divine power fluctuation. It felt very ordinary. However, Jian Wushuang knew clearly that the person who could appear in this special space was not an ordinary person. Only if the other party was so strong that he completely surpassed his level would he feel like an ordinary person. Taking a deep breath, Jian Wushuang bowed and said, "Greetings, Senior." The woodcutter's axe stopped and he finally raised his head, revealing an extremely ordinary middle-aged man's appearance. However, although the woodcutter's appearance was extremely ordinary, his eyes were extremely deep. He had already looked at Jian Wushuang. "You are Heavenly Sword Marquis?" The woodcutter stopped what he was doing and rested his axe on his shoulder, looking at Jian Wushuang with interest. "Yes." Jian Wushuang nodded. "May I know who you are, Senior?" "My name is Desolation Emperor, but few people know this name. In the universe battlefield or in the Divine Beginning Realm, people usually call me the Heaven Ancestor," the woodcutter said casually. "Heaven Ancestor?" Jian Wushuang was stunned, but then he was shocked. Heaven Ancestor, the Heaven Ancestor of the Heaven Ancestor Taoist sect. Like the Heaven Cleaving Alliance Master and the Temporal Temple Master, He was one of the most powerful experts in the Divine Beginning realm and the founder of the Heaven Ancestor Taoist sect. In the Divine Beginning realm, he had dealt with both the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance Master and the Temporal Temple Master, but he had never had the chance to meet the Heaven Ancestor. However, Jian Wushuang did not expect to meet the Heaven Ancestor directly when he had just entered the universe battlefield. Moreover, he had met the Heaven Ancestor directly in the Star Palace. Taking a deep breath, Jian Wushuang suppressed the shock in his heart and said respectfully, "Heavenly Sword Marquis, greetings, Senior Heaven Ancestor." "Ha, little guy, you don't have to be so formal. Just find a place to sit," the Heaven Ancestor said. Jian Wushuang looked around and found that there was not even a chair here. However, he did not put on airs and directly sat on the ground. The Heaven Ancestor sat down on the ground and casually put the axe in his hand to the side. "Little guy, it seems that you are surprised to see me here." The Heaven Ancestor looked at Jian Wushuang with interest. "A little." Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. "After all, this is the Star Palace and you are here. Are you also a member of the Star Palace?" No, don't misunderstand." The Heaven Ancestor waved his hand. "I'm not a member of the Star Palace, but I have some friendship with the Palace Master. I've been adventuring in the universe battlefield all year round, but I occasionally stop to find a place to rest. However, I'm too lazy to return to the Divine Beginning realm, so I usually come to the Star Palace. This time, when I heard that you were in the Star Palace, I wanted to see you." "Is that so?" Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and then said with a smile, "It's my great honor to be summoned by you. Young man, don't be humble. Others may not know your real identity, but I know it very well." The Heaven Ancestor glanced at Jian Wushuang. He said playfully, "Although you're only a young man at the saint level, you're chosen by Xin. You carry the hope of the rise of the seven-star mysterious sect." Jian Wushuang was stunned, but he was not surprised. Most of the experts in the Divine Beginning realm did not know his true origin, but as the founder of the Heaven Ancestor Taoist sect and a close friend of Star Palace, it was normal for him to know about it. "Senior, do you know my master? Do you know him?" Jian Wushuang asked. "No." The Heaven Ancestor shook his head. When the seven-star mysterious sect was destroyed, the Heaven Ancestor Taoist sect was not yet one of the three freedom alliances in the Divine Beginning realm. At that time, I was not a ruler and was not qualified to interact with a big shot like your master. However, after the seven-star mysterious sect was destroyed, I became a ruler and began to interact with Star Palace. Naturally, I know your master better. I have to say, your master's skills are indeed impressive. Before he died, he not only sealed the original seven-star divine realm with his heaven-reaching means, but also created you in the sealed seven-star mysterious realm, creating hope for the seven-star mysterious sect to rise again. Even now, I still admire his ability." Jian Wushuang was also slightly silent. His master's methods were indeed incredible. Compared to his master Xian Yi, he was still far behind. "You have inherited Xian Yi's mantle, and just like him, you have unlimited possibilities in the future. You even have the opportunity to overturn the rule of the three saint realms and change the overall structure of the Divine Beginning realm. Unfortunately, your current strength is too weak. Although you have some battle strength, in the end, you are not even a principles master yet. But it's normal. After all, you're a perfect level creature, and you're restricted by the heavenly Tao. It's not easy for you to become a principles master. For example, your master was said to have completely comprehended three rules and fused them together to become a principles master. But now, how far are you from that?" The Heaven Ancestor looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang pondered for a moment and then said, "I have mastered and merged two principles, but I am still comprehending the third principle." "Oh." The Heaven Ancestor's expression changed, and then he asked, "What is the third principle you are comprehending?" "The destruction principle," Jian Wushuang answered directly. Chapter 35:19, Chopping Down Trees, the Destruction Principle? The Heaven Ancestor smiled and stood up. "Little guy, you stay here and watch." Jian Wushuang looked puzzled. The Heaven Ancestor picked up the axe beside him and walked to the bottom of a big tree. Watch carefully, the heaven ancestor said as he chopped the axe directly at the big tree. The axe looked ordinary, just like how an ordinary woodcutter cut a tree. However, the axe looked completely different in Jian Wushuang's eyes. The axe did not contain any divine power or the power of rules. However, the moment he swung it, Jian Wushuang felt an unprecedented sense of destruction. This sense of destruction was as if the things in front of him should be destroyed and would be destroyed. In the face of this destructive will, nothing could survive. Bang! The axe hit the tree, but it broke the tree in half. The tall tree immediately fell down and collapsed. The heaven ancestor put the axe back on his shoulder and looked at Jian Wushuang. "Little guy, how is it?" Jian Wushuang was a little confused. He did not know how the heaven ancestor used the axe. He did not use any divine power or the power of the destruction principles, but the destructive will contained in the axe was so powerful, it was even more powerful than the killing moves of some experts who had mastered the destruction principles perfectly. You didn't see it clearly? Then let's see it again. The heaven ancestor smiled and swung the axe again. This time, Jian Wushuang focused his attention on the identical axe. Indeed, he did not sense any divine power or the power of the destruction principles in the axe, but the destructive will was so powerful that it shook the world. How can the pure destructive will be so powerful without any power of destruction principles? Jian Wushuang's eyes were wide open. The will of principles is the original will of any principles. This will can be said to be the root of the principles. If you master this will, it will be much easier for you to comprehend these principles in the future, the heaven ancestor said with a smile. Then he handed the axe to Jian Wushuang and said, "Try it." Jian Wushuang nodded and took the axe. After taking it, he understood that the axe used by the heaven ancestor was indeed the most ordinary one. The axe used by mortals did not have any power. Even the blade of the axe was rusty and not sharp. However, when the heaven ancestor swung the axe without using any divine power, Jian Wushuang felt that the axe could destroy the world. Will of destruction? Jian Wushuang took a deep breath and walked to a big tree. He swung the axe in his hand and chopped at the tree. He did not use any divine power or use any principles. The axe hit the tree, but it made a sound like metal colliding. Jian Wushuang's axe did not even break the bark of the tree. Jian Wushuang was stunned. The heaven ancestor smiled and said, "Although the axe is very ordinary, the trees in this space have existed for a long time and have absorbed a lot of heaven and earth spiritual qi. They are much tougher than ordinary trees. Little guy, if you have nothing else to do, stay here and chop more trees. I'll take a nap first." After saying that, spirit ancestor found an empty space and lay down. He covered his face with the bamboo hat and did not look at Jian Wushuang again. However, Jian Wushuang's expression was extremely grave at this moment. Opportunity. This is undoubtedly a rare opportunity for me. Senior heaven ancestor, teach me how to master the will of destruction principles. As long as I don't use any divine power or the power of principles, I will most likely be able to master the will of destruction principles. By then, it will be very easy for me to comprehend the will of destruction principles. Such an opportunity is a once-in-lifetime opportunity. I must not waste it. Let's begin. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with determination. In this special space, he held the ordinary axe and began to chop the tree in front of him again and again. Every time he swung the axe, he was thinking about the destructive will brought by the heaven ancestor when he swung the axe. Time began to pass slowly. Jian Wushuang had already forgotten everything. He only thought about the axe and the tree in front of him. In a flash, 3 years had passed. Bang! The axe directly hit the tree in front of him. This time, there was no sound of metal colliding. Instead, there was a heavy muffled sound. The axe in Jian Wushuang's hand had already cut open the bark of the tree. A trace of the axe blade barely sank into the tree. This scene made Jian Wushuang's eyes light up. The will of destruction. So this is the will of destruction. I have only grasped a trace of it. I can barely let the axe cut open the bark of the tree, but I finally understand the will of destruction. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with surprise. Everything was difficult at the beginning, but once it started, the rest would be much easier. Jian Wushuang also grasped the will of destruction. Although he had sensed the existence of the will of destruction from the axe wielded by the Heaven Ancestor, it was extremely difficult for him to grasp it. He simply practiced and tried again and again in the forest, but he finally grasped a tiny bit of the will of destruction. Although it was only a trace, it had already opened the door. Continue. Jian Wushuang continued to wave the axe in his hand. The moment Jian Wushuang waved the axe and cut open the bark of the tree, the bamboo hat on the Heaven Ancestor's face moved slightly. Under the bamboo hat, the eyes of the Heaven Ancestor had opened, and there was a playful smile on the corner of his mouth. He is worthy of being chosen by Xin. In just 3 years, he has comprehended a trace of the destruction will. His comprehension is indeed amazing. It seems that it won't be long before he can master the complete destruction will. The Heaven Ancestor smiled, then he closed his eyes again. Time continued to pass. In the blink of an eye, Jian Wushuang had stayed in the forest for a full 10 years. On this day, Jian Wushuang also swung the axe in his hand and chopped down a whole tree. There was no divine power on the axe, but the moment it was swung, it suddenly burst out with a shocking destructive intent. Bang! The rusted ordinary axe was like a sharp blade, directly cutting through the body of the tree. Boom! The tree collapsed. Jian Wushuang was also ecstatic. Chapter 35:20. The Ultimate Divine Fruit of Destruction, It's Done. Jian Wushuang was pleasantly surprised. In the past 10 years, I've been hacking in the forest day and night. During this time, I've hacked 1,000,000 times. Finally, I've mastered the destruction origin will. Without using any divine power or principles, I can cut down the tree in front of me with this destruction will alone. Jian Wushuang murmured, his heart was filled with excitement. Lying on the empty ground beside him, the Heaven Ancestor, who had been dozing off for 10 years, had removed his bamboo hat and opened his eyes to look at Jian Wushuang. Thanks. I thought I would sleep for decades or even centuries. I didn't expect to be woken up by you in just 10 years, the Heaven Ancestor said indifferently. Senior, I didn't fail you. I have already mastered the destruction origin will, Jian Wushuang said. Well, not bad. The Heaven Ancestor smiled faintly. Then he waved his hand and threw a pitch-black fruit that was emitting a strong destructive aura to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang took the fruit and held it in his hand. He asked in puzzlement, Senior, what is this? The ultimate destruction divine fruit contains the complete power of the destruction principles. Under normal circumstances, a cultivator who consumes the ultimate destruction divine fruit will more or less comprehend many destruction principles. Some geniuses who are extremely talented in the destruction principles can fully comprehend more than half of the destruction principles with the help of the ultimate destruction divine fruit, or even completely grasp them. However, if you rely solely on the ultimate destruction divine fruit to control the destruction principles, there will be some difference in the use of the destruction principles in the future. This is because if you rely solely on the ultimate destruction divine fruit to control the destruction principles, it will be very difficult to understand the destruction origin will in the future. However, if a person who has already mastered the destruction will consumes the ultimate destructive divine fruit, it will be no different from the destruction principles he has comprehended. It will be exactly the same, the Heaven Ancestor said. Then he looked at Jian Wushuang calmly. Jian Wushuang was even more surprised. According to the Heaven Ancestor, he had already mastered the destruction will, so he could swallow the ultimate destructive divine fruit without any scruples. With the miraculous effect of the ultimate destructive divine fruit, he could completely master the destruction principles. Senior, this fruit, Jian Wushuang hesitated. After all, it's our first time meeting. This fruit can be my gift to you, the Heaven Ancestor said with a smile. Thank you, Senior. Jian Wushuang thanked him, but he did not refuse. He could see that the Heaven Ancestor in front of him was likely on the side of the 7-star mysterious sect. Even if he did not fight against the 3 saint realms with the 7-star mysterious sect, he would at least be against the 3 saint realms, and he was chosen by Xian Yi, the Heaven Ancestor knew that he could overthrow the rule of the three Saint Realms in the future, so he did not hesitate to give him opportunities. First, he taught him the will of destruction, and then he gave him the ultimate divine fruit of destruction. This allowed him to master the principles of destruction in a short period of time, which would greatly increase his strength. You can leave now after receiving the greeting gift, the Heaven Ancestor said. I'll take my leave. Jian Wushuang did not stay any longer. After bowing respectfully, he turned around and left. Soon, Jian Wushuang disappeared into the forest. After Jian Wushuang disappeared, the Heaven Ancestor slowly stood up from the ground. He stretched out his hand, and the axe that he used to chop the tree flew into his hand. This ordinary-looking axe, the moment he held it in his hand, it instantly transformed. The ordinary axe turned into a golden divine axe that emitted a monstrous aura. It seemed to have the ability to split the sky. Old friend, thank you for the past 10 years. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid that little guy wouldn't have been able to grasp the destruction origin will so quickly. The Heaven Ancestor smiled faintly. As he spoke, the divine axe in his hand began to tremble slightly. The casual tremble immediately produced waves that shook the entire spacetime. Jian Wushuang had thought that the axe in his hand was just an ordinary axe used by ordinary people. At least, that was how he saw it. After all, he could not feel the slightest bit of power from the axe in his hand. In fact, the axe was an extremely powerful universe supreme treasure. It was just a retractable power. Jian Wushuang had been in the forest for 10 years, and when he used the axe to cut down trees time and time again, it was invisible. The axe had helped him a lot. Otherwise, in just 10 years, no matter how talented Jian Wushuang was or how strong his comprehension was, he would not have been able to grasp the destruction origin will so easily. After all, the level of the destruction origin will was extremely high. Even many principles masters who had mastered the destruction principles were unable to master the destruction origin will. I've helped the little guy. As for his future growth, it's up to him. The Heaven Ancestor smiled and put on his bamboo hat again. The power of the divine axe in his hand was restrained again. The Heaven Ancestor turned into a woodcutter again and continued to cut down the trees in the forest. In the Star Palace. My dear Heavenly Sword Marquis, this is the place for you to live. See if you're satisfied. Axe 1 Master led Jian Wushuang to a courtyard. Although the courtyard was not large, it was extremely exquisite. There was a separate magic formation around the courtyard that could block the detection of the surrounding experts. Not bad. Thank you for your help, Axe 1 Master, Jian Wushuang said. You're too kind. You can stay here and do whatever you want for the rest of the time. However, most of the principal's masters in Star Palace are very old and have very strange temperaments. If you want to communicate with them, you'll have to be a little more lenient, Axe 1 Master said. I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Axe 1 Master left after giving his instructions. In the courtyard, Jian Wushuang stood alone with a smile on his face. I have already mastered the destruction origin will and the ultimate destruction divine fruit given to me by the Heaven Ancestor. In the following days, I will first consume the ultimate destruction divine fruit. In addition to the special treasures I exchanged for in the treasure pavilion of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, I will first master the destruction principles thoroughly. Once I master the destruction principles, I'll have an additional power of the will, and my strength will also increase dramatically. At that time, I'll have nothing to fear even when facing experts of the 6 void realms. In addition, once I master the destruction origin will, my swordsmanship can also be improved, and I can even try to create stronger swordsmanship. Jian Wushuang muttered and soon began to cultivate alone. Chapter 35-21. 600 years it was quiet in the Star Palace. Jian Wushuang was alone in his courtyard, cultivating, and no one came to disturb him. He could feel at ease comprehending the destruction principles and studying swordsmanship at the same time. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 600 years had passed. In a secret pavilion in the Star Palace, several high-level experts of the Star Palace gathered together and were sorting out some information about the universe battlefield during this period. Everyone, take a look at this information. Axe 1 Master waved his hand, and immediately, a piece of information appeared in everyone's line of sight. The content of the information was that an advanced universe true treasure armor had appeared on Blood Rock Mountain battlefield, which had caused a lot of competition, and this advanced universe true treasure armor had been obtained by Gold Master in the end. Gold Master? Isn't this old guy adventuring in Quicksand Demon Realm? When did he go to Blood Rock Mountain? Star Saint Master said. He probably went there in the near future. My Star Palace hasn't heard anything about him, but I'm sure he's lucky. He got an advanced universe true treasure armor not long after he arrived, a red-clothed girl said with a smile. This red-clothed girl was one of the higher-ups of Star Palace, 7 Emotions Master. One to be able to become a higher-up of Star Palace, this red-clothed girl was also a Principal's Master who had reached the 6th level of the Void Realm. Thanks, said Markiduanya. This Golden Crow Master's combat power is already extremely powerful, and he's already considered quite strong among the Principal's Masters of the 6th level of the Void Realm. Now that he has obtained an advanced universe true treasure armor, his combat power will definitely be stronger than before. In the future, he'll be even more difficult to provoke. Who cares? 7 Emotions Master said. Anyway, there's no enmity between Golden Crow Master and my Star Palace. Whether he's strong or not has nothing to do with us. In the future, we just need to pay a little attention to him. There's no need to pay too much attention to him. Compared to Golden Master, I'm more concerned about that God Fey Master who appeared in Devil's Smoke Valley recently. God Fey Master? Hearing this name, the expressions of the people present immediately became solemn. This God Fey Master is indeed worthy of being taken seriously. After all, ever since he appeared in Devil's Smoke Valley, he has been killing experts in a frenzy. Furthermore, his killing spree is extremely frenzied. Regardless of who the other party is, regardless of what background the other party has, which faction he comes from, or even whether he is weak, as long as he meets him, he will not hesitate to kill him with all his might. Most importantly, he is terrifyingly strong. From the strength he displayed previously, he should have already reached the peak of the 6th level of the Void. Such a powerful madman would be a huge headache for any power. Axe 1 Master said. Indeed. I don't know where this God Fey Master came from. Before this, he didn't have any fame at all. Now that he has appeared, he is slaughtering maniacally. Furthermore, his survival abilities are extremely strong. Previously, he angered an expert at the pinnacle of the 6th level of the Void, but in the end, he easily escaped from the hands of that expert. This proves that to kill him, at the very least, a ruler-level expert would have to act personally. But how many ruler-level experts do we have in this territory? If we don't reach a certain level, why would we lower our status to deal with a Principal's Master? Marquis Duanyu asked. A ruler-level expert was high and mighty, something a Principal's Master could not compare to. However, because a ruler-level expert was too aloof, they would not lower their status to deal with a Principal's Master personally unless the other party really offended them too harshly. However, in ordinary small fights, for example, the current God Fey Master wantonly massacred in Devil's Smoke Valley. However, he massacred experts from all sorts of factions and was not a single faction, so he did not cause too much of a loss to any faction. A ruler-level expert would not personally appear. According to my estimations, this God Fey Master shouldn't be an expert from our territory. He might be from another territory. When he heard that we have 3 great battlefields here, he specially rushed over. We've already encountered quite a few madmen like him who have no background and are incomparably powerful. All of them are extremely difficult to deal with. The best way to deal with such madmen is to stay at a respectful distance. Send a message to all the experts under my Star Palace who are adventuring in Devil's Smoke Valley to be extremely careful of this God Fey Master. The moment they see him, they will immediately flee for their lives. Although this God Fey Master is powerful and his life-saving abilities are exceptional, his methods of pursuing and killing others aren't necessarily that brilliant. As long as we don't let him get too close, the Principal's Masters within our Star Palace will have a very high chance of escaping, Axe 1 Master said. That's all we can do. Everyone present nodded. And at this moment? Oh! Axe 1 Master's expression suddenly changed. Axe 1, what's wrong? Marquis Duan Yu looked over. It's my little friend, the Heavenly Marquis. He just sent me a message saying that he's going to Devil's Smoke Valley to explore, Axe 1 Master said. My little friend, the Heavenly Sword Marquis? 7 Emotions Master's expression changed. The little friend you're talking about, could it be the immortal saint called Heavenly Sword Marquis sword that you brought from the Divine Beginning Realm? It's him. Axe 1 Master nodded. This little fellow, has he gone mad? He is an immortal saint, but he actually said that he wants to go to Devil's Smoke Valley? 7 Emotions Master said in surprise. That might not be the case. Marquis Duan Yu smiled. 7 Emotions Master, you might not know this, but although Heavenly Sword Marquis is only an immortal saint, his combat strength has long surpassed that of an ordinary Principles Master. Back then in the Great War of the Nine-Tailed Clan in the Divine Beginning Realm, I personally saw him kill a Principles Master of the 4th level of the Void Realm by himself. Therefore, in terms of combat strength, he is at least at the peak of the 4th level of the Void Realm and is at the 5th level of the Void Realm. In addition, his talent is extremely shocking. After cultivating in my Star Palace for 600 years, his strength must have improved. Now that he says he wants to explore Devil's Smoke Valley, he must have a certain degree of confidence. An immortal saint killed a Principles Master of the 4th level of the Void? Is this true? 7 Emotions Master was in disbelief. This is absolutely true. Axe 1 Master, Star Saint Master, and I saw it with our own eyes, Duan Yu said. It is true. Axe 1 Master and Star Saint Master nodded. Even if it is true, he is still an immortal saint. It would be too ostentatious for him to venture into Devil's Smoke Valley, 7 Emotions Master said. That's why he's sending me a message now. He wants me to think of something, such as finding him a supreme treasure that can hide his godly power aura. Axe 1 Master smiled. There's an obvious difference between the Principles Master and the immortal saint. It's nothing more than his godly power aura. As long as there's a treasure that can hide his godly power aura, naturally no one will know that he's the immortal saint. Chapter 35-22. The 3 Battlefields. There are a few treasures in Star Palace that can hide the divine power aura of a cultivator. If you want, just pick one for him, Marquis Duan Yu said with a smile. Based on his strength and some of his previous achievements in the Divine Beginning Realm, as long as he doesn't seek death or accidentally enter some dangerous places in Devil's Smoke Valley, there shouldn't be too much danger. Well, I think so too, Axe 1 Master said with a smile. They knew clearly that Jian Wushuang could not even deal with a master of the Saint Realm in the Divine Beginning Realm. His life-saving ability was probably much stronger than the one they were talking about, Master Fei. In the Devil's Smoke Valley, as long as he did not enter those dangerous places, only a master-level expert would be able to kill him. However, how could an ordinary master-level expert have the time to deal with a little guy like him? Marquis Duan Yu, Axe 1 Master, and Star Saint Master all agreed that Jian Wushuang should go to Devil's Smoke Valley. Only 7 Emotions Master, who did not know Jian Wushuang very well, rolled his eyes but did not say anything. In that case, you guys continue to chat. I'll go and see this Heavenly Sword Marquis in person. Axe 1 Master laughed and disappeared into the secret pavilion. Star Palace, in the courtyard where Jian Wushuang lived. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Axe 1 Master rushed over from afar. Axe 1 Master, please come in person. Jian Wushuang greeted him with a smile. You're too kind. I know you're going to Devil's Smoke Valley, so I don't dare to delay. Axe 1 Master also smiled. My friend, since you've decided to go to Devil's Smoke Valley, you should know where it is, right? Yes. It's one of the 3 battlefields in this territory. It's filled with endless dangers and opportunities, Jian Wushuang said. It's good that you know. Devil's Smoke Valley is the second most dangerous of the 3 battlefields, especially the core area of Devil's Smoke Valley. Even a ruler-level expert has to travel carefully. Although your life-saving ability is not weak, you still have to be careful if you go there, Axe 1 Master said. I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded. Jian Wushuang had known for a long time that there were 3 universe battlefields in the territory of the Divine Beginning Realm, namely Bloodstone Mountain, Devil's Smoke Valley, and Quicksand Demon Realm. These 3 battlefields had existed in this territory for God knows how long. No one knew how these 3 battlefields came about, but everyone in this territory knew that there were a lot of opportunities in these 3 battlefields. Because of this, experts from all the world stars in this territory liked to explore the 3 battlefields, including many ruler-level experts. For example, in the Divine Beginning Realm, the universe battlefields mentioned by the Principal's Masters referred to these 3 places. Since Jian Wushuang had already left the Divine Beginning Realm, he would naturally explore the 3 universe battlefields. Especially in the past 600 years, his strength had improved greatly, which had given him a certain amount of capital. In the Devil's Smoke Valley of the 3 universe battlefields, the reason why Jian Wushuang chose to explore this place first was that there was a star map of the universe battlefields among the opportunities given to him by the Blood North secret area. The star map recorded a special space that might contain great opportunities. The location of this special space was in the Devil's Smoke Valley. As one of the 3 battlefields, Devil's Smoke Valley not only has a large number of experts from various astral worlds roaming there but also contains a large number of natural dangers. For me, I don't need to pay too much attention to those experts from various astral worlds. After all, they are not experts above the ruler level, so they should not be able to threaten me. But the natural dangers in Devil's Smoke Valley are the most terrifying. Jian Wushuang knew very well. His life-saving ability was strong. Even if a ruler-level expert was chasing after him, he could still try to escape. There was even a chance that he could escape. However, some of the natural dangers in Devil's Smoke Valley could even kill a ruler-level expert. If he was careless and fell into those natural dangers, forget about the Star Palace, he was afraid that no one in this territory would be able to save him, no one would be able to save him. For example, Shuebei found the special space. According to Shuebei, when he just approached it, he was suffocated and did not dare to go deep. However, Shuebei was a very powerful expert of the 5th Void Realm. He did not dare to go far in that special space. It was obvious how dangerous that special space was. This time, Jian Wushuang was going to explore that special space, so he had to be careful. My young friend, this is what you need. Axe 1 Master reached out and took out a gray bead with a strange aura and handed it to Jian Wushuang. This bead was accidentally obtained by an expert of Star Palace. After you refine it and integrate it into your body, it will naturally help you hide your divine power aura. However, the level of this bead is not too high. After it conceals your aura, the Principal's Master will naturally not be able to see any flaws. An ordinary ruler-level expert who is weak in strength or perception may not be able to see through it. However, if you encounter an extremely strong or extremely sensitive ruler-level expert, he will be able to see through you easily. It's already good enough to fool an ordinary master-level expert. Jian Wushuang accepted the gray bead with satisfaction. There were only so many master-level experts in this territory. He did not even know if he would meet a master-level expert during his trip to Devil's Smoke Valley. Even if he did meet one, he would not be able to see through his strength unless he was extremely strong, or if it was a ruler-level expert with sharp senses, he would not be able to see through his actual strength. Most importantly, even if a ruler-level expert happened to see through his strength, so what? A ruler-level expert wouldn't be so bored as to reveal this matter to the public unless it was a ruler who had a grudge against him or the Star Palace. Other than this ruler, I've also prepared 2 things for you. Axe 1 Master said, then flipped his hand and took out another jade slip. This jade slip contains the star map of Devil's Smoke Valley that our Star Palace experts have obtained after searching for a long time. Of course, Devil's Smoke Valley is too huge. Even after searching for a long time, the star map that our Star Palace has obtained is probably less than 1/10 of Devil's Smoke Valley. However, it's better to have this star map than not having it. Okay. Chapter 3523, Blood Crystal Armor. Other than the star map, The Jade Slip also contains information about most of the experts from the various forces in the astral world of this territory. Most of them are experts who happen to be wandering in the Devil's Smoke Valley during this period of time, especially those who are extremely powerful and need the main experts. They are all marked in the Jade Slip. Take a good look and have a good idea. In the future, when you are adventuring in the Devil's Smoke Valley, if you encounter these extremely powerful experts, it's best to avoid them. After all, those who are adventuring in the universe battlefield, as long as they aren't from any major faction, can be classified as enemies. In the universe battlefield, there are people everywhere who kill and plunder the treasures of other experts. There are many people like this in the Devil's Smoke Valley, and among them, there is no lack of experts. Take the newly risen Master Fei for example. He is a complete killing maniac. In Devil's Smoke Valley, he kills anyone he sees. You must be careful when you meet such a person, Axe 1 Master warned. I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and took the Jade Slip. In addition to this Jade Slip, Star Palace has specially prepared a supreme treasure for you. Oh, this is it. Axe 1 Master waved his hand, and a blood-red crystal-like armor appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. As soon as the blood-red crystal jade armor appeared, a strong aura of a true treasure immediately emanated. The strength of this true treasure aura was much stronger than many true treasures Jian Wushuang had seen in the Divine Beginning realm. Axe 1 Master, this is? Jian Wushuang looked puzzled. Its name is the Blood Crystal Armor. It was obtained by Star Saint Master when he was adventuring in the Quicksand Demon realm. It is an elementary universe true treasure armor, Axe 1 Master said. Elementary universe true treasure? Jian Wushuang frowned. Don't underestimate it. Although it's only an elementary universe true treasure, it's completely different from those true treasures in the Divine Beginning realm. Most of the true treasures in the Divine Beginning realm are produced by the Divine Beginning realm itself, or forged by the blacksmiths in the Divine Beginning realm. They can't be compared to universe true treasures. Even elementary universe true treasures are much more powerful than those so-called top-tier true treasures in the Divine Beginning realm. As for this blood crystal armor, as a low-level universe true treasure armor, not only does it have amazing protective abilities, but it can also greatly increase one's own power. This is a treasure that many principles masters yearn for and even fight over madly. Actually, there aren't many such treasures in Star Palace, so under normal circumstances, even great beings from Star Palace would need to make sufficient contributions to Star Palace or rely on other treasures to exchange for a universe true treasure of this level. There are almost no free gifts. As for you, our Star Palace has also considered that you are only an immortal saint after all, and it's your first time exploring the universe battlefield. In order to improve your life-saving ability, we temporarily gave you the blood crystal armor. However, we only lent it to you, and you will have to repay it in the future. After you have explored the universe battlefield for a period of time and familiarized yourself with the environment, our Star Palace will take back the blood crystal armor. Or you can take out a treasure of equal value to exchange for the blood crystal armor, Axe 1 Master said. Is that so? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and looked at the blood crystal armor in front of him. Without hesitation, he forced out a drop of blood essence and began to refine it. In just a moment, the blood crystal armor turned into a blood-red robe and was put on his body. As for the golden armor that Jian Wushuang was wearing, he naturally put it back into his interspatial ring. Although the golden armor was his natal armor, which had gradually grown over the years and reached the level of a supreme treasure, it was forged in the Divine Beginning realm, so its limitations were too low. It was far from being comparable to the universe supreme treasure armor. Previously, Jian Wushuang wore the golden armor, so it could only provide him with some protective abilities. But now that he wore the blood crystal armor, Jian Wushuang immediately understood the universe supreme treasure armor. It was very different from the golden armor. The blood crystal armor not only had excellent protective abilities, but it could greatly weaken the attack power of the enemy experts. At the same time, it also contained 3 layers of power. The first layer of power increased the power of one's divine power by 10 times. The second layer of power increased the power of one's divine power by 40 times. The third level of power increased the power of his divine power by 100 times. This is too strong? Jian Wushuang's eyes widened. The power of divine power increased by 10 times or 100 times. Did this not increase a person's strength? Although the armor only increased the basic divine power, not the power of the will after mastering the rules or the strongest power of the whole, the increase in the basic divine power was still significant, would also have a huge impact on a person's strength. Especially for Jian Wushuang, he was a perfect chaotic creature. Although he was only at the saint level, his basic divine power was even stronger than that of an ordinary principles master. In other words, his basic divine power was already stronger than that of an ordinary principles master. If he activated the power of the blood crystal armor, he could fully display his advantage in the basic divine power. This armor is too powerful, and it's only an elementary universe true treasure. I wonder how powerful that so-called advanced universe true treasure or top-tier or pinnacle universe true treasure is. Jian Wushuang exclaimed. At the same time, the image of the mountain river map appeared in his mind. After all, the mountain river map was a pinnacle universe true treasure. It was a pity that although he had the supreme treasure, he had never been able to fully utilize its power. He had only used the power given to him by the blood wave on the Sa Island. He had forcefully activated the power of the mountain river map and severely injured the Flame Saint Master and the Sorcerer God. My young friend, can you activate the triple power of the blood crystal armor? Axe 1 Master looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang immediately tried, and the results soon came out. I've already tried. Now I can only activate the first level of power. As for the second level of power, I feel it's still far from enough, Jian Wushuang said. It's already good enough to activate the first level of power. Axe 1 Master smiled and said, under normal circumstances, only the top experts among the principles masters can activate the first level of power. The second level of power can only be activated by experts who have reached the pinnacle of the Void Master. As for the third level of power, it can only be activated by experts at the ruler level. Chapter 35-24 Devil Smoke Valley. Only a master-level expert can activate the third level of power? Jian Wushuang was surprised. It's all the same, and it's because the blood crystal armor is only an elementary universe true treasure armor. If it's an advanced or top-tier universe true treasure armor, even an ordinary master can't fully unleash its power. But as long as it can unleash part of the power of a true treasure, it can greatly increase its strength. Axe 1 Master smiled. My dear Heavenly Sword Marquis, you've just arrived at the universe battlefield, and you haven't really explored it yet, so you don't know much about it. In fact, for many great beings who have explored the 3 battlefields of the universe, their own power is important, but there are some powerful true treasures that can greatly enhance their power. Take ordinary attack true treasures as an example. Any universe true treasure, even if it's just a low-level universe true treasure, can be very useful in the hands of great beings. Ordinary principles masters all have immortal bodies, which are extremely difficult to kill. However, as long as they have an attack godly weapon at the level of a universe true treasure, it'll be easy to kill this principle's master. For example, in the Divine Beginning realm, it is extremely difficult for a principle's master at the 5th level of the Void realm to kill a principle's master at the 4th level of the Void realm. It requires a certain degree of luck. However, on the universe battlefield, if those principles masters at the 5th level of the Void realm who have universe true treasures encounter a principles master at the 4th level of the Void realm, as long as they think of a way to prevent the other party from escaping, it will be extremely easy to kill him. Sometimes, they can even kill the other party with a simple move or two. Some principles masters who have a big gap in strength can even kill a principles master in one strike. Is that so? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He thought to himself, it's indeed very difficult to kill a principles master in the Divine Beginning realm. However, in the universe battlefield, even though they are all principles masters, it seems that it's relatively easy for an expert to kill a weak one as long as they have a powerful universe true treasure. However, I don't have any universe true treasures that can be used to attack. His offensive godly weapon was the Blood Mountain Sword, which was his original godly weapon. It had grown with him. Although it had the potential to become a universe true treasure, there was still a big gap between it and a universe true treasure. Star Palace had only given him a blood crystal armor for life-saving purposes, but they had not given him any offensive godly weapons. My young friend, there is another token here. This token is your identity token. After you refine it, you can sense any experts from the Star Palace near you. In addition, if you encounter any danger or trouble in the 3 battlefields in the future, you can use this token to seek help from the experts from the Star Palace around you at any time, Axe One Master said. I understand. Jian Wushuang took the token and nodded slightly. All right, I've given you everything I need to give you. I've told you everything I need to tell you. Now, you can go directly to the hidden stronghold near Devil's Smoke Valley through the universe passage in my Star Palace, Axe One Master said, then he turned around and left. Thank you, Axe One Master. Jian Wushuang thanked him. After Axe One Master left, Jian Wushuang heaved a sigh of relief and then smiled. I have mastered the principles of destruction in the 600 years of cultivation in the Star Palace. I have also created the strongest move in swordsmanship. It is time for me to go to the Devil's Smoke Valley and have a good look. With that, Jian Wushuang headed straight for the Star Palace Cosmic Passage. As one of the 3 battlefields, Devil's Smoke Valley was frighteningly large. In the Divine Beginning realm, there were countless cultivators and vast territories in the universe, but in fact, the area of the Divine Beginning realm was far smaller than Devil's Smoke Valley. It was not even 1/20th of the total area of Devil's Smoke Valley. It was precisely because Devil's Smoke Valley was too vast that so many experts from the Star Palace went to explore it. However, the area they explored was still less than 1/10 of Devil's Smoke Valley. In the void near Devil's Smoke Valley, there was a hidden stronghold of the Star Palace. In the void outside the stronghold, brother, this time, we have to properly explore Devil's Smoke Valley. We have to find more opportunities before we can return, Heavy Master, who carried a heavy sword on his back and was more than 2 meters tall, said in a deep voice. I know. Last time, in order to save me, you exchanged all the contribution points you earned in Star Palace in one go. You even exchanged the basic universe true treasure armor you obtained with great difficulty for contribution points. Only then did you ask Markiduan Yu to come and save me. Don't worry. This time, you and I will explore Devil's Smoke Valley. We must earn back all the things you exchanged for, said an evil middle-aged man with purple hair and purple eyes. How, with your words, I can rest assured. With us brothers working together, as long as our luck isn't too bad and we encounter a limited number of monsters, we should be able to do whatever we want. If we have the chance, we can even try venturing into the depths of Devil's Smoke Valley, the Heavy Master said. Venturing into the depths is still too much of a stretch. Let's first venture into the outer regions and see if there are any gains, the purple-haired, purple-eyed, evil middle-aged man said. Heavy Master nodded. But suddenly his expression changed. He lifted his head and stared at the space behind him. There, a figure walked out from the Star Palace's stronghold. Heavy, that person walked out from your Star Palace's stronghold. He should be an expert from your Star Palace, right? But why does he look so unfamiliar? The violet-haired, violet-eyed, evil middle-aged man asked. Of course he's unfamiliar. He has only stepped into the universe and has only been in my Star Palace for 600 years. During these 600 years, he has been staying in my Star Palace's lair. This is probably the first time he has ventured into the 3 great battlefields, Heavy Master said. Is that so? The purple-haired, purple-eyed, evil middle-aged man understood. However, Heavy Master had already frowned at this moment. Strange. 600 years ago, Heavenly Sword Marquis was only an immortal saint when he was brought to the Star Palace by Marquis Duan Yu. Now, he has already broken through to become a Principal's Master. 600 years ago, he was only an immortal saint? In other words, he has just broken through to become a Principal's Master? The purple-haired, purple-eyed, evil middle-aged man could not help but be surprised. A principal's master who has just broken through actually dares to come to Devil Flame Island to explore. Moreover, it seems that he intends to explore alone? What audacity! That's right. Heavy Master also nodded. He has just broken through, and yet he dares to explore Devil Flame Valley alone. This Heavenly Sword Marquis really doesn't know what's good for him. In any case, he doesn't have any friendship with us, so there's no need to pay attention to him. Let's go. After saying that, Heavy Master and the purple-haired, purple-eyed, evil middle-aged man headed straight for Devil Flame Valley. Chapter 35-25. Heavy Master Jian Wushuang had just walked out of the stronghold of Star Palace, so he naturally noticed Heavy Master. Heavy Master, the one next to him should be his brother, Purple Sound Master, right? 600 years ago, when I first arrived at Star Palace, Heavy Master was very anxious to ask Marquis Duanyu to save his brother. Now it seems that he has been saved. However, the Heavy Master doesn't seem to want to talk to me. Jian Wushuang touched his nose with a strange expression, but he did not care. He had already refined the bead that hid the aura of divine power. He used the bead's saint aura and deliberately disguised it as the aura of a principal's master. Therefore, when the Heavy Master saw him, he thought that he had broken through to become a principal's master. In fact, he was still an immortal saint. However, even though he was just an immortal saint, Jian Wushuang still went to the Devil Smoke Valley alone. The Devil Smoke Valley was filled with black smoke, which was a kind of miasma. It had a certain erosive effect on the divine body of cultivators, especially in the deepest part of the Devil Smoke Valley, where the miasma was extremely strong. Even principal's masters in the 4 or 5 void realms could hardly resist it. Therefore, under normal circumstances, the experts who dared to go to the deepest part of the Devil Smoke Valley were all above the 6 void realms. Just like what the Heavy Master had said earlier, they were not venturing into the depths of the Devil Smoke Valley. Within the hazy black smoke, the Heavy Master and the Purple Sound Master were moving forward side by side. As they had just entered the Devil Smoke Valley, they were still at the outermost perimeter of the valley. The dangers here were much less, hence, the two of them were not too nervous. They were chatting as they moved forward. I don't know what kind of ability that Heavenly Sword Marquis has. 600 years ago, it was said that Marquis Duanyu personally went to the astral world to bring him in. When I saw him at that time, he was clearly just an immortal saint, but Marquis Duanyu said that his strength might not be inferior to mine. Brother, don't you think this is a joke? The Heavy Master curled his lips and said, An immortal saint is as powerful as you? Purple Sound Master shook his head and smiled. Maybe there's a special relationship between Sword Sky Marquis and Marquis Duanyu. Yeah, I think so too. You didn't see it, but I sensed him. The blood robe he's wearing is actually a low-level universe true treasure armor, the blood crystal armor. It's one of the top-tier universe true treasure armors, and it's more valuable than the one I got before. Now that it's in his hands, I'm sure he didn't exchange it for it with his contribution points. Maybe it was Marquis Duanyu who gave it to him, said Heavy Master. Why? Are you jealous of him or the blood crystal armor on his body? Purple Sound Master laughed. In fact, even if there is a special relationship between Marquis Duanyu and Sword Sky Marquis Duanyu can't give him a low-level universe true treasure of Star Palace by himself. Even if he wanted to give it to him, he had to exchange it with his contribution points. That's true, said Heavy Master. But I still can't accept it. A great being from Star Palace risked his life to get a true treasure, and yet, it was given to him for nothing. Look at him. With his power, he's wandering around Devil Smoke Valley alone. It won't be long before other great beings find him and kill him. His blood crystal armor will naturally fall into the hands of others. If I get this blood crystal armor, my power will completely recover to peak level, or even stronger. Alright, don't be jealous. If you want a true treasure, you can look for it in Devil Smoke Valley. There are many opportunities and true treasures here. If you're lucky, you might be able to get a higher-level true treasure armor, Purple Sound Master said. Yes, you're right. Heavy Master nodded. However, at that moment, a thin figure suddenly appeared in the black smoke in front of them. Huh. Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master immediately looked over. This person is Bitter Hand Master from the Punishment God sector. Bitter Hand Master is only at the 4th level of the Void Realm, and he doesn't have a universe true treasure armor to protect his body. However, he has an offensive godly weapon that is at the level of a low-level universe true treasure. In addition, he has a domain type true treasure and a soul defense type true treasure, which is the best in the star sector. Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master recognized the figure in front of them immediately, and at the same time, they immediately remembered the information about this person. In an instant, their gazes became somewhat heated. And that Bitter Hand Master also noticed their gazes at the first moment, and was startled on the spot. His expression also changed drastically, and without any hesitation, he immediately turned around and fled madly. "Huh, you still want to escape? Bitter Hand Master, why are you in such a hurry to escape? You should stay and have a good talk with us brothers." Both Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master laughed loudly, and their speed immediately erupted as they chased after Bitter Hand Master. On the universe battlefield, the great beings from various forces and factions did not need to pay attention to any rules. When they saw each other, as long as they thought they were stronger than the other, they could directly intercept and kill or plunder. Now that the two of them saw Bitter Hand Master, the first thing they understood was that Bitter Hand Master could not compete with either of them. Besides, Bitter Hand Master had an offensive godly weapon at the level of a universe elementary true treasure. There were also several top-tier true treasures within the star sector. These things were very attractive to both Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master. Therefore, the two of them made a decision without hesitation. They wanted to kill Bitter Hand Master in front of them and seize the treasures in his hands. However, as the two of them chased after him, they discovered that although this Bitter Hand Master was not very strong, his escape speed was very impressive. The two of them had already burst forth with their fastest speed, however, they were unable to close the distance between them. And during the chase, Zeeming Master also discovered something. Something isn't right. The direction this Bitter Hand Master is fleeing toward is actually the tornado stream? Zeeming Master frowned. The tornado stream is filled with incomparably terrifying hurricanes on both sides. Even the divine bodies of experts at the 6 void realms could be easily annihilated. Although there is a passageway in the middle of the tornado stream that can be directly passed through, the passageway isn't wide. Once an intense battle occurs, the slightest carelessness would cause one to fall into the hurricanes on both sides and be doomed forever. The Bitter Hand Master is not slow. He has a chance to escape from us. Why is he running toward Whirlwind Brook? Chapter 35-26. Traps. There were many dangerous places in Devil Smoke Valley. One of them was Whirlwind Brook, and it was quite famous. The surroundings of Whirlwind Brook were filled with terrifying hurricanes. Those hurricanes could easily kill Principal's Masters. Even the Principal's Masters of the 6 states of Void would have a high chance of dying if they were caught in those hurricanes. Such a dangerous place was a taboo for ordinary cultivators, and they did not dare to go there easily. Therefore, seeing that Bitter Hand Master was actually fleeing in the direction of the tornado stream, Zeeming Master felt a little strange at the first moment. However, Heavy Master snorted coldly and said, "This place is relatively close to the tornado stream. Bitter Hand Master was chased by you and me, so he could only run for his life. It's normal for him to flee to the tornado stream in a moment of desperation. It's not a big deal. He's a Principal's Master at the bottom of the 4 levels of the Void, and he doesn't have any great power or background behind him. Could it be that he wants to scheme against the two of us?" One Heavy Master did not mind. Hearing his words, Purple Sound Master nodded slightly. "You're right." Although the two of them sensed that Bitter Hand Master was fleeing in a strange direction, they did not pay too much attention to it and continued to chase after him. The main reason was that the two of them were more confident in working together. In the outer area of Devil Smoke Valley, there were only a few top experts who could truly threaten the two of them, and this Bitter Hand Master did not have a big background, thus, they were not too vigilant and on guard. After a round of pursuit, the 3 of them quickly entered the Whirlwind Brook. The moment they entered the Whirlwind Brook, Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master immediately sensed the terrifying hurricanes on both sides. Although the hurricanes were still some distance away from them, they still gave them a feeling of fear and trepidation. Heavy, be careful. The hurricanes in this whirlwind brook are extremely terrifying. If either one of us were to fall into these hurricanes, we would most likely die, Purple Sound Master said. I know. Heavy Master nodded heavily. However, his gaze was fixed on Bitter Hand Master, and a fierce light flickered in the depths of his eyes. Bitter Hand Master's speed has already slowed down. Purple Sound Master nodded. From the moment we chased after him, his speed was close to ours at the start. However, gradually his speed slowed down. It seems that he used some sort of secret technique previously. In a short period of time, he was able to burst out with a speed close to ours. However, as time passes, his speed will become slower and slower. This way we can catch up to him. During his escape, Bitter Hand Master's speed had been slowing down. It was precisely because of this that the two of them felt that they had a chance to chase down and kill Bitter Hand Master, which was why they did not hesitate to chase him all the way to this whirlwind brook. However, right at this moment, the figure of Bitter Hand Master, who had been frantically fleeing ahead, suddenly stopped. He stopped in the central area of the Whirlwind Brook Passage, after which he turned his head to look at Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master. A cold and strange smile appeared on his face. Heavy Master from Star Palace and solitary expert Purple Sound Master have chased after me for such a long time. Aren't the two of you tired? Bitter Hand Master said coldly. Heavy Master and Zeeming Master's expression sank. From Bitter Hand Master's expression and his words, they immediately had a bad premonition. Bitter Hand Master's gaze suddenly turned to the side. I wonder if these two principals masters are in accordance with your wishes, my lord? My lord? Heavy Master and Zeeming Master's expressions changed. Sure enough, after Bitter Hand Master finished speaking, a human figure slowly stepped out from the hurricane on the other side. Someone is here? And he is hiding in the hurricane? Heavy Master was shocked. They knew very well how terrifying the hurricanes on both sides of the tornado stream were. Even the hurricanes at the edge could easily kill a 5-level principal's Master of the Void Realm. As for a 6-level principal's Master of the Void Realm, they could only withstand it. Only a great being at the 6th level of the Void Realm with a universe true treasure armor and above could stay in the hurricanes at the edge with relative ease. And the person who appeared now was obviously hiding in the hurricanes at the edge. While enduring the attacks of the hurricanes, he was also using them to perfectly hide himself. Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master did not notice that there was someone there at the first moment. It was not until Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master arrived here, and they were very close to him, that he finally walked out of the hurricane and appeared in front of Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master. To be able to do this, there was no doubt about his strength. Bitter Hand Master, you did well. This is for you. The person who walked out of the hurricane glanced at Bitter Hand Master and threw an interspatial ring over. Thank you, my lord. Bitter Hand Master received the interspatial ring, and his face revealed a look of surprise and joy. At this moment, Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master had also clearly seen the appearance of the person and recognized him at the first moment. Once they recognized him, their hearts instantly trembled. God Fei Master. It's actually him. Wasn't he adventuring in the depths of Devil's Smoke Valley? When did he come to the outer region of Devil's Smoke Valley? Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master's expressions changed drastically. God Fei Master was an extremely powerful expert who had risen to power in Devil's Smoke Valley all these years, and he was an absolute madman who only knew how to kill. When he roamed the Devil's Smoke Valley, he would kill all the experts he met, regardless of their strength or background. Furthermore, he was terrifyingly strong. He was a peak existence among the experts of the 6 Void Realms. Such a madman was feared by all the powers, including the experts of the various astral worlds. They did not dare to provoke him. For example, the Star Palace had already given the order that all the experts who roamed the Devil's Smoke Valley, as long as they encountered this God Fei Master, they would immediately flee for their lives. Moreover, they would immediately flee when they discovered the other party's existence. They absolutely could not give the other party the chance to get close to them. Heavy Master naturally remembered this point. However, he had never expected that this God Fey Master would actually come from the depths of Devil Smoke Valley to this outer region. Moreover, he had come just as he came. He had actually joined forces with Bitterhand Master. He had let Bitterhand Master set up a trap to lure him and Purple Sound Master over. Now, he and Purple Sound Master had already arrived here, and God Fey Master was right in front of them, just a short distance away. "Brother, run!" Heavy Master did not hesitate. After confirming that the other party was God Fey Master, he immediately let out a roar and turned around to flee frantically. Chapter 35:27. The person who came to save you, run. Purple Sound Master was also burning with anxiety, and he started to run away madly. Seeing this, God Fey Master sneered, "You are already jumping on my face, and you still want to escape?" So, God Fey Master's speed burst out. As a peak expert of the 6 states of the void, his speed was much faster than that of Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master. Moreover, the distance between them was not far, and with his speed, he caught up in a short moment. Die! God Fey Master held a golden hammer in each of his hands. These 2 golden hammers seemed to weigh hundreds of millions of kilograms. As God Fey Master waved his right hand, one of the golden hammers streaked across the void like a bolt of golden lightning. It struck out in the direction of Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master. Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master were so frightened that their expressions changed drastically. "Attack together!" Heavy Master shouted in a low voice, and the heavy sword behind him immediately went up to meet it. Purple Sound Master also unleashed all of his power at the first moment, and a purple battle blade slashed out like a purple demon. Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master were not weak, and they were both pinnacle great beings at the 4th level of the Void Realm. Furthermore, one of them had cultivated a special secret technique, and the other had 2 universe true treasures on him. If they were to clash head-on, they were not weaker than ordinary great beings of the 5th level of the Void Realm. Now that the 2 of them were working together, they were not completely defenseless against God Fey Master. Heavy Master spat out a mouthful of blood, and his godly body trembled crazily. More than 40% of the godly power in his body was consumed. As for Purple Sound Master, his godly body was heavily injured because he had the protection of a low-level universe true treasure armor. However, the amount of godly power consumed was much better than Heavy Master's. However, the rebounding force created by the collision caused the distance between the 2 of them and God Fey Master to widen. The 2 of them started to flee frantically once again. At the same time, Heavy Master took out his Star Palace token and hurriedly sent a message to the token. "Mayday, Mayday. I've already fought head-on with God Fey Master, and I've already used up a lot of my godly power. Anyone who is near, come and save me." As soon as the news of Heavy Master was spread out, most of the experts who were adventuring in the outer area of Devil Smoke Valley received the news and immediately responded. "God Fey Master? He actually came to the outer area of Devil Smoke Valley? Heavy Master, how could you be so careless and actually fight with God Fey Master? You should have immediately fled when you saw God Fey Master from afar. Now that you've fought him head-on, how could you escape? Being targeted by God Fey Master? Then how can we save you? Even if we can rush over, wouldn't it be suicide? I don't fear God Fey Master too much, but unfortunately, I am too far away from Tornado Stream. There is no way I can rush over. Heavy Master, you'd better pray for your own good. Heavy, there is nothing we can do to redeem you." Most of the Principal's masters who were adventuring outside Devil Smoke Valley had sent news. However, it was either because they were too far away that they could not make it in time, or even if they were relatively close, they were not as strong as Heavy Master. Rushing over would also be courting death, and it would be of no use at all. Naturally, none of them could do anything about it. After receiving these replies, Heavy Master's heart turned cold. But right at this moment, "Heavy Master, I just happened to be near Tornado Stream, and will be arriving at the entrance of Tornado Stream soon. Hurry over to my side as soon as possible, and I'll help you escape. A message was suddenly transmitted over. Yes, this is... Heavy Master was startled, but then his expression became strange. Because the person who transmitted this message to him was none other than Heavenly Sword Marquis, whom he had not thought highly of before and thought that the other party was seeking his own death by coming to Devil's Smoke Valley. Sword Heaven Marquis, he is also near Tornado Stream, and he is already rushing over here? Heavy Master narrowed his eyes. Although he came here to save me, his strength, I don't care about that. Let's escape first. Heavy Master still did not believe in Jian Wushuang's strength. However, in the current situation, Jian Wushuang was the last straw, so he had to grab hold of it. The Tornado Stream passage was not long. With the speed of Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master, they soon reached the entrance of the Tornado Stream, and Jian Wushuang arrived there just in time. Is that God Fei Master? Jian Wushuang stood at the entrance. His soul power had already sensed the existence of God Fei Master, and at the same time, he had also sensed the danger of the Heavy Master and the Purple Sound Master. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang activated the Golden Sky Painting Banner. Space-Time Domain. A vast amount of space-time power merged into the Golden Sky Painting Banner. The Golden Sky Painting Banner shook slightly and immediately merged with the surrounding void. Voila! An endless amount of time and space power visible to the naked eye swept out like a wave of air. In the blink of an eye, it formed a huge space-time ocean. The space-time ocean covered the entire world around it, and the entire world was under Jian Wushuang's control. The Golden Banner was a Universe Supreme Treasure to begin with, and it was an advanced Universe Supreme Treasure that focused on space-time. Over the years, as Jian Wushuang's strength increased and he became more proficient in the use of time and space rules, he was able to perform some of the techniques in the Golden Sky Painting flag better. From the time and space imprisonment at the beginning to the time and space imprisonment, now he was able to use the complete time and space domain. The effect of the time and space domain was actually similar to that of an ordinary domain-type advanced universe true treasure. The difference was that an ordinary advanced domain-type true treasure mainly suppressed the opponent's strength, but the time and space domain suppressed the opponent's speed to the greatest extent. For example, when Jian Wushuang used the space-time domain and used it, all the space-time power pressed down on God Fei Master's body, instantly reducing her speed dramatically. Heavy Master, Purple Sound Master, both of you, get out of here quickly, Jian Wushuang shouted. Heavenly Sword Marquis? Heavy Master looked up at Jian Wushuang. At the same time, he also noticed that God Fei Master's speed had been greatly reduced, and he was immediately overjoyed. He did not have time to thank Jian Wushuang and rushed to the void with Master Purple Sound Master at their fastest speed. After all, the two of them were not suppressed by the space-time domain at all. God Fei Master also looked at Jian Wushuang. Did you call for help? God Fei Master narrowed her eyes and stared at Jian Wushuang. I've never seen this person in the information. He must be a principal's master who just appeared. However, his universe true treasure in space-time is extremely rare. Chapter 3528. Flying Type True Treasure. God Fei Master was very knowledgeable. He could tell that the time-space true treasure Jian Wushuang was using was of a very high level. Otherwise, it would not have exerted such a great pressure on his speed. If I'm not mistaken, this should be a senior universe true treasure in terms of time and space. It might even be at the top level among senior universe true treasures. God Fei Master's eyes narrowed slightly. A true treasure in terms of time and space is extremely valuable. It's not much more valuable than an ordinary true treasure armor. As for a time and space true treasure that has reached the level of an advanced universe true treasure, I'm afraid it's even more valuable than the combination of Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master. Thinking of this, God Fei Master's eyes locked on Jian Wushuang. He did not chase after Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master. Instead, he rushed toward Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was not as good as God Fei Master. God Fei Master is coming for me? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He guessed that God Fei Master was thinking about his golden banner. Huh, It depends on whether you have the ability to think about my true treasure. Jian Wushuang smiled. He turned around and rushed toward the void. God Fei Master followed him at full speed. As for Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master, they had already escaped. That was close. We were almost killed by you, God Fei Master. Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master stood in the void not far away from Tornado Stream. Both of them were still in fear. God Fei Master is too terrifying. He lost more than 40% of my divine power in one move. He could have killed me in another 2 or 3 moves. Fortunately, Heavenly Sword Marquis came in time and stopped him for us. Otherwise, Heavy Master sighed softly. Heavy Master, you previously said that Heavenly Sword Marquis came to Devil's Smoke Valley alone to seek death. However, in the blink of an eye, he saved you. If it weren't for him, the 2 of us would have been doomed, Purple Sound Master said. It was indeed my fault. I was too stupid. When I see him after this, I will definitely apologize to him in person, Heavy Master said. Not just apologize. This time he saved us brothers. We must remember this favor. We should be grateful to him, Purple Sound Master said. Of course. But now, the troublesome thing is that God Fei Master has his eyes on him. We don't know if he can escape from God Fei Master's hands, Heavy Master said worriedly. Don't worry. Heavenly Sword Marquis has a universe true treasure in the aspect of time and space, and it seems to be of a high level. Even God Fei Master's speed is greatly suppressed by him. As long as God Fei Master's speed is constantly suppressed, he shouldn't be able to catch up with Heavenly Sword Marquis, so he won't pose any threat to him, Purple Sound Master said. Well, I hope so. The Heavy Master nodded slightly. In the vast void outside Devil Smoke Valley, Jian Wushuang and God Fei Master were chasing each other rapidly. It had to be said that God Fei Master was an expert at the peak of the 6th realm of the Void Realm, so he had some strength. Even though he was limited by the space-time domain, his speed was still very fast. Unfortunately, in terms of speed, Jian Wushuang was also very good at it. If God Fei Master had not been suppressed by the space-time domain, Jian Wushuang's speed would have been much slower than his. However, because of the pressure of the space-time domain, Jian Wushuang's flying speed was actually a little faster than God Fei Master's. God Fei Master, you can't catch up with me at all. Do you want to waste time following me? Jian Wushuang chuckled as he flew. Can't catch up with you? God Fei Master sneered and looked around the void. There shouldn't be any experts around here. In that case, there's no need to hide anymore. As soon as he finished speaking, God Fei Master's body shook and a pair of huge golden wings appeared behind him. The golden wings had beautiful lines as if they had grown on God Fei Master's body. However, Jian Wushuang knew that the golden wings were a true treasure and an elementary universe true treasure. A flying universe true treasure? Jian Wushuang was stunned when he saw the golden wings. There were many types of true treasures, including flying, space-time true treasures, and suppression true treasures. They were much more precious than ordinary attack true treasures and true treasure armors. What God Fei Master took out was obviously a flying elementary universe true treasure. As soon as the golden wings appeared, God Fei Master transformed into a golden stream of light, leaving golden phantoms in the void. His speed was more than twice as fast as before. The gap between him and Jian Wushuang, and it was starting to close up fast. So fast. Jian Wushuang's pupils contracted. This God Fei Master has been wandering in Devil's Smoke Valley for quite some time. Not only has he killed wantonly, he has even been hunted down by experts at the pinnacle of the 6 levels of void. However, no matter if he is killing or being hunted down, no one has ever heard of him possessing a flying-type universe true treasure. From the looks of it, he has quite a few tricks up his sleeve. Jian Wushuang sighed in admiration. After seeing the speed of God Fei Master's golden wings, Jian Wushuang understood that he could not get rid of God Fei Master by relying on his speed alone. The latter would certainly catch up with him. In this case, Jian Wushuang simply did not bother to run anymore. Buzz. Jian Wushuang suddenly stopped in the void and turned to look at God Fei Master. Huh, kid, you know you can't escape, so you don't want to run anymore? God Fei Master laughed loudly and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. The golden wings on his back were still unfurled. It seemed that he was ready to pounce on Jian Wushuang at any time. God Fei Master, you're too conceited. The only reason I ran away just now was because I didn't want to cause trouble. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? Jian Wushuang smiled faintly without any fear in his heart. Although God Fei Master was very powerful and was already at the peak of the 6 void realms, and was well known in Devil Smoke Valley, Jian Wushuang was no longer comparable to before. 600 years ago, when he was adventuring in the demon realm, it was impossible for him to face an expert at the peak of the 6 void realms. Jian Wushuang was even shocked when he saw the fierce battle between Demon Master Chenhua and Daing, but now, 600 years later, as his strength soared, he had nothing to fear from a mere expert at the peak of the 6th realm of the void. Chapter 35-29 Fighting God Fei Master. God Fei Master, I've heard that you've been slaughtering people in Devil Smoke Valley all these years. Only a few people have survived. But today, I'd like to see how powerful you are. Jian Wushuang smiled. The Blood Mountain sword had already appeared in his hand. Boy, you're so arrogant. Since you are courting death, I'll grant you your wish. God Fei Master's eyes turned cold. The pair of golden wings on her back flapped violently, and a gale instantly blew. God Fei Master also turned into a golden stream of light. In an instant he appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. God Fei Master held a golden sledgehammer in each hand. One of the sledgehammers turned into a golden bolt of lightning and struck toward Jian Wushuang furiously. Jian Wushuang had already activated his life divine power the moment God Fei Master attacked. He also activated his heaven-cleaving skill. I've been cultivating in seclusion in Star Palace for 600 years. I'd like to see how much progress I've made in these 600 years. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with a fierce light. The moment God Fei Master swung the golden hammer, he took a step forward and swung the Blood Mountain sword in his hand. At this moment, Jian Wushuang unleashed all of his power without holding back. At the same time, he activated the first stage of the Blood Crystal Armor with his divine power, which instantly increased the power of his basic divine power by 10 times. A blood-red sword light suddenly descended and collided with the golden hammer in the blink of an eye. Even though his opponent was an expert at the peak of the 6 void realms, Jian Wushuang had no intention of retreating. Boom! An earth-shaking explosion suddenly sounded. A large amount of black smoke in the void was blown away by the power and disappeared. The surrounding void even began to tremble violently. God Fei Master turned into a golden flowing light again and retreated rapidly. As for Jian Wushuang, he also retreated for a distance before coming to a stop. On the surface, the two were evenly matched. You, God Fei Master raised her head and looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. You're an expert of the 6th realm of the void? Why, are you surprised? Jian Wushuang smiled. There are dozens of star worlds in this territory, and there are countless experts. Isn't it normal for a 6th realm of the void realm to suddenly appear? Like you didn't have any fame before. Did you suddenly appear? God Fei Master understood. Indeed, there were many experts in this territory. Not only in the universe battlefield, but there were also many top experts hiding in the star worlds. Many of them had yet to venture into the 3 battlefields, therefore, they were not famous. However, not being famous did not mean that they were weak. When God Fei Master saw Jian Wushuang today, he immediately felt that Jian Wushuang was a stranger. Secondly, the divine power aura emitted by Jian Wushuang was very ordinary. At the level of an ordinary principles master, it made him think that Jian Wushuang was very weak. He only dared to venture into the universe battlefield because he had a time-space type universe supreme treasure. But now, he realized that Jian Wushuang was also very strong. Although he could not compete with Jian Wushuang, he was not much weaker than Jian Wushuang. If you can compete with me, you will be famous in the universe battlefield. Boy, what's your name? God Fei Master stared at Jian Wushuang. My name, I use the blood sword in my hand as a weapon. You can call me Blood Sword Master. Jian Wushuang smiled. He did not want to continue using the name of Heavenly Sword Marquis. After all, Heavenly Sword Marquis was too famous in the Divine Beginning Realm, and the three Saint Realms of the Divine Beginning Realm dreamed of killing him. Unfortunately, they could not do it in the Divine Beginning Realm, but it was different in the universe battlefield. Although the three Saint Realm Masters would not rush to the universe battlefield, they could think of other ways to kill him in the universe battlefield. Therefore, he decided to change his name. The name Blood Sword Master was derived from his Blood Mountain Sword, which was why he had such a personality. Blood Sword Master, you are indeed extraordinary to be able to fight me head-on. However, you ruined my plan today. So, don't think that I will let you go so easily, God Fey Master said. Since you won't let me go, then go ahead. Use whatever means you have. To be honest, I really hope you can find a way to kill me, Jian Wushuang said with a bright smile. As you wish. God Fey Master did not hesitate. His figure flashed and his terrifying speed burst out again. Even with the suppression of the space-time domain, God Fey Master's speed was still far faster than Jian Wushuang's. This time, when God Fey Master appeared in front of Jian Wushuang, he brandished his golden hammers at the same time. The two hammers were like two golden fire wheels, hurling at Jian Wushuang continuously and ferociously. Jian Wushuang immediately defended himself. Bang, 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 bang. Deafening sounds of collisions and explosions rang out in the void. Jian Wushuang and God Fey Master had fought with all their might, and Jian Wushuang had used the peerless sword manual he had created to its fullest. However, God Fey Master's two sledgehammers were obviously more terrifying. Each of the two sledgehammers was extremely powerful and fierce. Jian Wushuang had to use all his strength to defend against the power of a single hammer strike, but the two sledgehammers kept attacking him crazily. It put a great pressure on Jian Wushuang. God Fey Master is really fierce. His strength is indeed terrifying, especially his two hammers. They are too powerful. I'm at a disadvantage in close combat with him. If it weren't for my blood crystal armor, I wouldn't have been able to resist them. Jian Wushuang's face was solemn. He could see that God Fey Master's strength was not at the peak of the 6 void realms. However, the two hammers in his hands and the supreme treasure armor he was wearing were both universe supreme treasures. Moreover, her level was not low. Coupled with the golden wings on her back, her battle strength was no weaker than that of an ordinary expert at the peak of the 6 void realms. Jian Wushuang had already mastered the destruction principles, so with the addition of his willpower, life divine power and heaven-cleaving skill, he could also unleash the battle strength of an expert at the 6 void realms. His blood crystal armor was of a very high level. After activating the first level of power, it increased his basic divine power by 10 times, which gave him an advantage in the power of basic divine power. Unfortunately, Jian Wushuang was at a great disadvantage in terms of offensive divine weapons. Chapter 3530. Retreat. Unscathed. Jian Wushuang's offensive magic weapon, Blood Mountain Sword, was not even a universe supreme treasure, so it was naturally inferior to the two hammers in the hands of God Fey Master. Moreover, in terms of absolute arts, Jian Wushuang was also inferior to God Fey Master. As a result, when the two fought fiercely, Jian Wushuang was completely suppressed. Blood Sword Master, is that all you've got? Humph, I thought so highly of you just now. God Fey Master snorted coldly. How dare you ruin my plan with such strength? You're courting death. God Fey Master's eyes were cold. The two golden hammers in his hands contained earth-shaking power. However, as soon as God Fey Master finished speaking, the power of his two golden hammers increased by another level. In an instant, Jian Wushuang felt his pressure increase sharply. Any one of the two hammers could crush him completely. Jian Wushuang barely withstood the attack of the golden hammers, but he suddenly retreated. After regaining his balance, Jian Wushuang smiled and said, God Fey Master, how about you take my sword? God Fey Master narrowed her eyes. Jian Wushuang had already made his move. He was still some distance away, but he had already slashed out the Blood Mountain Sword in his hand. The moment the sword was slashed out, a shocking destructive will suddenly swept up. This destructive will, with a will to die, pressed down on God Fey Master in an overwhelming manner. God Fey Master raised his head with a hint of surprise in his eyes, but his speed was not slow. The golden hammer in his right hand suddenly burst out with golden light. Star flash! Swoosh! The golden light flashed and disappeared like a golden meteor streaking across the void. The golden hammer had already collided with the sword light that Jian Wushuang had slashed out. When the two collided, a burst of terrifying power immediately erupted and swept out in all directions with a huge air wave. At the center of the air wave, God Fey Master's body trembled slightly and then staggered back a few steps. As for Jian Wushuang, he did not take a step back. A supreme skill? God Fey Master looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. I tried my best to use my strongest skill, till death do us part. In the end, I only gained a slight advantage in a head-on collision with him. As expected of God Fey Master, your strength is really impressive. Jian Wushuang smiled. To the death is the latest trick he has created in his 600 years in the constellation. This unique move was mainly because he had seen the scene of the heaven ancestor waving that axe in the forest. That axe not only contained the complete will to destroy, but also contained many mysteries, which also had a great impact on him. After he mastered the principles of destruction, he combined the principles of time and space, the principles of reincarnation, and his swordsmanship comprehension to create this latest move. This move did not only contain the will to destroy, Jian Wushuang also mastered the three principles, as well as his swordsmanship attainments to the fullest. But in terms of level, this move, indeed has reached the peak of the 6th level absolute art level. Although God Fey Master's combat power was at the level of a great being at the pinnacle of the 6 levels of Void Realm, the reason he was so powerful was largely due to the fact that he had a universe true treasure. His combat strength was only relatively strong among the 6 Void Realms, and he had never created a peak level 6 secret skill. Therefore, Jian Wushuang was able to gain a slight advantage in the fight against God Fey Master's secret skill. However, this advantage was very small. God Fey Master, I've learned my lesson in today's battle. There's still a long way to go. If we meet again in the future, we'll fight again, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. You want to leave? God Fey Master's eyes were cold. The wings on his back had already spread out. It was obvious that he did not intend to let Jian Wushuang leave so easily. With God Fey Master's speed and the help of the wings on his back, he could easily catch up to Jian Wushuang even under the suppression of the spacetime domain. Jian Wushuang naturally knew this, but he smiled and said, God Fey Master, there's something I haven't told you. If I really want to leave, there aren't many people in the universe battlefield who can stop me. Really? God Fey Master narrowed her eyes, eager to try. Goodbye. Jian Wushuang smiled and disappeared in front of God Fey Master. What? God Fey Master looked at the empty void in front of her in astonishment. What happened? Blood Sword Master disappeared? God Fey Master frowned. Teleportation? No, this is Devil Smoke Valley, one of the universe battlefields. The space and time in Devil Smoke Valley are distorted, so teleportation is impossible. Everyone knew that teleportation was impossible in the 3 battlefields. It was not only because there were too many dangerous places and too many obstacles in the 3 battlefields. More importantly, the space and time in the 3 battlefields were different from the space and time in the universe. The space and time here were not balanced, so even great beings who were proficient in the principles of space and time, they could not teleport in the 3 battlefields. But the scene in front of them? He suddenly disappeared without leaving any soul aura. This is obviously a teleportation method. Blood Sword Master. God Fey's expression was a little ugly. He observed the surrounding void for a long time before he was sure Jian Wushuang had indeed used a teleportation method to leave. Blood Sword Master, I'll remember you, God Fey Master muttered. He was not famous before, but now he has the battle strength of the 6 Void Realms. Although he is still far from the peak of the 6 Void Realms, he has many techniques. Not only does he have an advanced universe supreme treasure in spacetime, but he also knows how to teleport in the universe battlefield. It won't be long before he becomes famous in the universe battlefield. It's a pity that he can teleport. Unless he is an expert who is also proficient in the space-time rule and can confine space-time, it's impossible for anyone to keep Blood Sword Master. At least, I can't do anything to him. God Fei Master shook his head. He had to admit that even though he was stronger than Jian Wushuang in terms of physical strength, he could not do anything to Jian Wushuang even if Jian Wushuang appeared in front of him again. If Jian Wushuang wanted to leave, there was no way he could keep him. I originally wanted to quietly go to the outer area to hunt some prey and get some benefits, but I met a Blood Sword Master at the beginning. How unlucky. God Fei Master sighed softly and turned to leave. Chapter 35-31. Shame. This was the entrance to Tornado Stream. Jian Wushuang had come here before and left a space mark here. After using space-time teleportation, he had returned to this place. After getting rid of God Fei Master, Jian Wushuang began to think about the battle just now. After 600 years of cultivation, although my strength has greatly improved and I'm no weaker than an ordinary expert of the 6 realms of the void, it's still very difficult for me to fight against an expert like God Fei Master who can exert the battle strength of the peak of the 6 realms of the void. At most, I can barely fight with her, Jian Wushuang thought. In the battle just now, he had not fought with God Fei Master for a long time, and he had forced her back twice. It did not seem like he was at a disadvantage, but Jian Wushuang knew very well, there was still a big gap between his strength and God Fei Master's. First, in terms of absolute arts, other than his strongest sword technique, the 7 sword techniques of the Peerless Sword Manual, which he had created, were only at the threshold of level 6 absolute arts, or even barely, compared to God Fei Master's absolute arts, there was a big gap. Secondly, in terms of true treasures, God Fei Master's offensive true treasures and true treasure armors were of a very high level, and he even had the assistance of a flying universe true treasure. Jian Wushuang's true treasure armors were fine, but the level of Blood Mountain Sword was a little too low. Just these 2 points alone, God Fei Master could crush him without any scruples. Jian Wushuang had a bigger problem. The reason why he could unleash power that was no less than that of an expert of the 6 void realms was because of his life divine power and the heaven-cleaving skill. It was equivalent to giving him 2 more levels of willpower. However, the life divine power was fine, as it only stimulated the potential of a perfect creature. It would not be a burden to him, but the heaven-cleaving skill consumed a lot of his divine power. As a perfect chaotic creature, his divine power was vast, hundreds of times more than that of a regular principles master. However, the heaven-cleaving skill consumed a lot of divine power. Even if Jian Wushuang used it at all costs, in a fierce battle, he could only use the heaven-cleaving skill about 20 times at most. In other words, he could only use the power of an expert in the 6th realm in 10 or 20 attacks. The rest of his attacks could not meet that requirement. Naturally, he could not keep fighting with such combat strength. Therefore, when he fought with God Fei Master just now, he chose to escape immediately after he had a simple understanding of her strength and used his strongest combat strength. The reason was not that he did not want to continue fighting with God Fei Master, but because he could not keep his strongest combat strength and had to escape. Although this battle has not been long, I have already gained a lot, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. This battle allowed him to clearly understand his current strength and some of his shortcomings. He also understood how to improve his strength. First of all, he had to improve his absolute arts. He had to improve the 7 sword moves of the Wushuang sword manual as soon as possible. This was the most urgent matter. Secondly, he had to find a more powerful attack supreme treasure. As for the Blood Mountain sword, unless he found another expert to refine it, it would be difficult for it to meet his requirements. As for finding a way to fuse all 3 rules that he had mastered, it would take a longer time. Jian Wushuang could only take it slowly. Jian Wushuang was deep in thought when suddenly, Heavenly Sword Marquis. Heavy Master's voice came from the void beside him. Jian Wushuang came back to his senses and immediately looked over. When he got rid of God Fei and returned to the entrance of Tornado Stream, he had already sent a message to Heavy Master. Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master, who had received the message, immediately rushed over. Heavenly Sword Marquis, did you lose God Fei Master? Heavy Master asked first. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. God Fei Master is very fast. Unfortunately, I have a space-time domain which greatly limits his speed. He can't catch up with me at all, so he had to leave. Jian Wushuang lied and did not tell Heavy Master and Purple Sound Master that he had actually fought with God Fei Master. Moreover, he had left in front of God Fei Master, so God Fei Master could only watch. It's good that he has left. God Fei Master has been wandering in the depths of Devil Smoke Valley and killing crazily. Many experts have died at his hands. However, because he has killed too many people, experts from various forces in the Star Realms have become very wary of him. They have ordered to flee as soon as they see him. Our Star Palace has also given such an order. I didn't expect that God Fei Master would be so cunning. After knowing that the experts from various forces were on guard against him, he sneaked into the outer area and joined hands with Master Bitterhand. He told Master Bitterhand to leak his tracks in front of us to lure us to kill him. Meanwhile, he hid in the hurricane at the edge of Tornado Stream, waiting for us to fall into his trap. Purple Sound Master and I fell for his trick and almost died at his hands. Fortunately, you arrived, Heavenly Sword Marquis, Heavy Master said as he looked at Jian Wushuang. Suddenly, he bent down and gave Jian Wushuang a big bow. Heavy Master, what are you doing? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Heavenly Sword Marquis, don't reject me. I have to give you this big bow. Not only to thank you for your kindness, but also to apologize to you for the contempt I showed you. I was stupid and blind. Now that I think about it, I'm really ashamed, Heavy Master said sincerely. Heavy Master, you don't have to do this, Jian Wushuang said with a bitter smile. Heavenly Sword Marquis, just let him be, Purple Sound Master said. If you don't accept his gift, he won't be able to survive for the rest of his life. You know, when I saw you outside the Star Palace stronghold, Heavy Master told me that you were courting death by wandering around Devil Smoke Valley alone. Jian Wushuang was stunned. I'm ashamed, the Heavy Master apologized repeatedly. Jian Wushuang shook his head and accepted the gift, but he did not care. Axe One Master had given him information about many experts in the territory, including those in Star Palace. Of course, there was also an introduction about the Heavy Master. In addition to his strength, the information also mentioned the character of the Heavy Master, which was reckless and one-track-minded. However, he was extremely loyal, which was evident from the time when Master Purple Sound Master was trapped. The Heavy Master had spared no effort to ask Marquis Duanyu to help him. Jian Wushuang was very willing to befriend such a person who valued loyalty. Chapter 35-32 Polyuo God because he knew how Heavy Master was like, even though he knew that Heavy Master did not like him, when he found out that Heavy Master was being hunted by God Fei Master, he still rushed over to save him. If it were anyone else, even if Jian Wushuang came to save them, he would not be so enthusiastic. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I'll remember what happened today. I'll definitely return the favor in the future, Heavy Master said. Heavy Master, you're too kind. Jian Wushuang smiled. They were still exchanging pleasantries, but at this moment, Jian Wushuang and Heavy Master's expressions changed. What's wrong, you two? Purple Sound Master looked over. It's a message from my star palace saying that a universe supreme treasure is being born in the nearby territory. They want us to go there immediately, Heavy Master said seriously. A supreme treasure is being born? Purple Sound Master raised his eyebrows. If it's just an ordinary elementary universe supreme treasure, it will take a very short time for it to be born. Even if we get the news now, it's probably too late for us to go there. The person who sent the message must know this. But since he sent the message, could it be that it's an advanced universe supreme treasure? The 3 universe battlefields were filled with a large number of opportunities and treasures. For example, the birth of a true treasure was a common occurrence. As long as it was a universe true treasure, it would take a certain amount of time for it to be completely born. The higher the level of the true treasure, the longer it would take for it to be born. It's not an advanced universe true treasure, but its value is higher than an ordinary advanced universe true treasure, said Heavy Master. It's not an advanced universe true treasure, but its value is higher than that of an advanced universe true treasure? Could it be? Purple Sound Master immediately thought of a possibility. It's Poluo God. It's a part of Poluo God. Heavy Master said excitedly. Is it really Poluo God? Purple Sound Master became excited. Guys, what is this Poluo God? Why are you so excited? Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. Although he had received the message, it only said that it was a component of Poluo God. He had just entered the universe battlefield, so he did not know what Poluo God was. Heavy Master immediately explained, Poluo God is a very famous treasure in Devil Smoke Valley. No one knows what level it is exactly, but conservative estimates say that it is at least at the peak level, and its power is extremely strong. Unfortunately, this true treasure hasn't been complete since it was discovered. Instead, it has been disassembled and formed into parts. It is said that there are a total of 36 Poluo God parts, and these Poluo God parts alone have power equivalent to a low-level universe true treasure. However, if 3 Poluo God parts are combined together, their power is far higher than a high-level universe true treasure, and it is even close to the level of a top-tier true treasure. If there are more than 9 Poluo God parts, the combination of them would be extremely terrifying, even among top-tier universe supreme treasures. However, although there are 36 Poluo God parts, there seem to be less than 20 Poluo God parts in Devil Smoke Valley. Some parts have already been spread around. Some people have collected 3 Poluo God parts, but some don't. This makes the Poluo God parts even more valuable than ordinary advanced universe supreme treasures, even though they are only elementary universe supreme treasures. Is that so? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. It's a once-in-lifetime opportunity for us to see the Poluo God component appear near us. Let's go. Well, rush there immediately. If we're too late and let the Poluo God component fall into someone else's hands, well, regret it, the Heavy Master said. Immediately, the 3 of them rushed toward the place where the Poluo God component had appeared. The Black Thunder Pool was also a dangerous place in Devil Smoke Valley. This place was filled with dark black divine lightning. These dark black divine lightning were extremely violent and powerful. Ordinary Principles Masters would dare to enter this Black Thunder Pool, but this Black Thunder Pool was only on the ground. There were some in the lower sky, but the void above was not touched. Thus, Principles Masters who passed by could choose to fly directly from the void above the Black Thunder Pool, not having to worry about encountering any dangers. However, today, a holy rod part was born in the Black Thunder Pool. When Jian Wushuang, Heavy Master, and Purple Sound Master arrived at the Black Thunder Pool, they immediately saw a black holy rod in the void in the middle of the pool. The black holy rod was not big, and it was smaller than ordinary stick-type supreme treasures. However, the power it emitted was quite impressive. Is that the Poluo God part? Jian Wushuang glanced at the black staff and narrowed his eyes slightly. Then, he noticed the human figure in the void near the black staff, and his expression became solemn. The 3 people appeared beside one of the human figures. Saber Python Master, Heavy Master greeted the man. Heavy Master, Purple Sound Master. Saber Python Master nodded slightly, but then he looked at Jian Wushuang and asked, "Who is this?" "He just arrived in our Star Palace. His name is..." Heavy Master did not finish his sentence. "Blood Sword, just call me Blood Sword," Jian Wushuang said first. "Blood Sword Master, it is very nice to meet you." Saber Python Master was very humble. Jian Wushuang also nodded slightly. Saber Python Master was a principal's master in Star Palace, and his strength had reached the peak of the Void Four Realms. This time, Saber Python Master was the first to discover the appearance of the Poluo God component. He was also the one who had sent the message to them. "Saber Python, how long until the Poluo God component is born?" asked Heavy Master. Although the Poluo God component is only a low-level universe true treasure, it was decomposed by Poluo God. The time it takes for it to be born is not any shorter than a normal high-level universe true treasure. "It has been a while since I discovered the Poluo God component. It should be soon before the Poluo God component is born," said Saber Python Master. "However, it was born in the Black Thunder Pool. As long as it doesn't go underground, it's not dangerous. Therefore, people often pass by here. Although I was the first to see it, others still found it while I was waiting for it to be born. So far, many people have gathered here." Jian Wushuang and the other two also looked carefully at the people around them. At this moment, there were 8 experts waiting for the appearance of the Poluo God component, not counting them. Chapter 35-33 was born. The other 8 experts were divided into 4 camps. Jian Wushuang first looked at the burly man who had put a lot of pressure on them. The burly man was wearing red armor and carrying a huge axe on his back. He stood there with his arms folded like a statue, but he did not bother to look at anyone around him. "He is the 8-Axe Master, right?" Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly. The 8-Axe Master was a solitary expert who had been wandering around Devil Smoke Valley all year round. He was extremely powerful and had reached the peak of the 5th Void Realm. Moreover, his axe skills were extremely violent and he had created a 6th-level absolute art. He was only one person, but the pressure he brought was much stronger than the other camps. Therefore, there was no other expert who had reached the peak of the 5th Void Realm. Among the other 3 camps, one had 2 experts of the 5th Void Realm working together, one had 1 expert of the 5th Void Realm and 1 expert of the peak of the 4th Void Realm. The remaining 3 experts of the 4th Void Realm were all in the same camp, including Jian Wushuang and the others. There were a total of 12 experts present. Fortunately, the strongest among these people is only the expert of the peak of the 5th Void Realm, 8-Axe Master. There are no experts of the 6th Void Realm here. "If the 4 of us work together, we can still have a chance," the Heavy Master said. "This is the outer area of Devil's Smoke Valley after all. It's already good enough to have experts of the peak of the 5th Void Realm. As for experts of the 6th Void Realm, almost all of them have gone to the depths of Devil's Smoke Valley. Who would come to this outer area?" The Saber Python Master said. "You don't say. Not long ago, we ran into one. It was the infamous God Fei Master," Heavy Master said. "What? God Fei Master came to this outer region?" Saber Python Master was shocked. "That is indeed the case. Heavy Master and I were pursued by him. Fortunately, Blood Sword Master helped us to get out of the situation. Moreover, the place where he was pursuing us was nearby. We don't know if the appearance of this broken Poluo God part will attract him here," Purple Sound Master said. "It shouldn't be." Heavy Master shook his head. "Has the appearance of this Poluo God component caused too much of a commotion? The only ones who can discover it are the experts who just happen to pass by the Black Thunder Earth Pool. After these experts discover it, they will at most pass on the news to their own forces, but they will definitely not make this matter completely public. After all, they also want to snatch this Poluo God component. Naturally, they do not want too many people to know that this Poluo God component was born here. As for that God Fei Master, although it is true that he is extremely powerful, he is an expert who travels alone. Who would tell him the news of the appearance of the Poluo God parts here? As long as he doesn't happen to pass by this black thunder pool, then he won't be able to participate in this battle. That makes sense. Purple Sound Master and Saber Python Master both nodded. At this moment, in the void beneath their feet, Poluo God trembled slightly. He was about to break free from the black thunder pool. Poluo God's component is about to be born. Saber Python Master's eyes lit up. Everyone, be prepared to fight for it at any time, Heavy Master said. Once something happens to Poluo God's component, I'll immediately use my space-time domain to suppress them, Jian Wushuang said. With your space-time domain, Blood Sword Master, their speed will be greatly restricted. This will increase our chances, Heavy Master said. It was obvious that Jian Wushuang did not want to expose his name, so Heavy Master now called Jian Wushuang Blood Sword Master. Buzz. With a shrill cry, the Poluo God component, which was trapped in the thunder pool, finally broke free from the thunder pool. The aura of a universe true treasure instantly spread out. It's born! The eyes of the 12 great beings who had been waiting around all lit up. Attack! Snatch it! In an instant, each great being emitted a terrifying aura as they directly rushed toward the Poluo God part. 8-Axe Master, who was standing alone in the void realm like a statue, had already taken out his huge axe. In an instant, he turned into an ancient fierce beast and dashed out. The 2 experts of the 5 void realms who were standing together also rushed out at the same time. As for Jian Wushuang and the other 3, Saber Python Master, Heavy Master, and Purple Sound Master all rushed out at once. Jian Wushuang was the only one who did not rush out. Instead, he took out the golden sky painting banner and used the space-time domain. Buzz. The enormous space-time domain covered the area around the Poluo God component. In addition to Saber Python Master, Heavy Master, and Purple Sound Master, the other experts in the area were also affected. They were all slowed down by the enormous speed. A domain-type true treasure? No, this feeling should be a space-time true treasure. The great beings who were trapped in the space-time domain had a change of expression. However, at this moment, without any warning, a large amount of golden light suddenly shone. With 8-Axe Master as the core, the crimson gold flowing light surged like a raging ocean. In the next moment, it filled the entire battlefield. Within the crimson gold flowing light, 8-Axe Master seemed to have become the ruler. Even Jian Wushuang's space-time domain was greatly impacted by the crimson gold flowing light. A domain-type true treasure. This is a domain-type universe true treasure. It's 8-Axe Master. Damn it. We're both trapped in the space-time domain at the same time, so we're much slower than the golden light. But 8-Axe Master used the golden light to block the space-time domain, so his speed isn't affected at all. Quick, block 8-Axe Master. The great beings who were eager to get the Poluo God parts started to get anxious. 8-Axe Master was originally the strongest among them, and his speed was also the fastest. Now that 8-Axe Master's speed was not being suppressed, he could be the first to appear in front of the Poluo God parts and take them away. Once the Poluo God parts fell into 8-Axe Master's hands, if they wanted to fight for them again, there would be no chance at all. After all, if they wanted to fight for the treasure from 8-Axe Master, they would definitely have to think of a way to kill 8-Axe Master. But who here had the strength to do so? Even if everyone joined hands, they probably would not be able to do anything to 8-Axe Master, right? Thus, everyone understood that they absolutely could not let the Poluo God component fall into 8-Axe Master's hands. Immediately, the Principal's Masters who were still some distance away from the Poluo God component all made their moves. All of them made their moves almost at the same time. Even though they were some distance away, the 8-Axe Masters did not dare to ignore their attacks. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.